Archive memory access. If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to our long-awaited Tales from the Archives reunion. It's been a little bit. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing dandy.
Fantastic.
I just had a kid, so.
Whoa, you too?
Congratulations!
Sorry, I had my Connor mask on.
We pull like a Spartacus where we're like, and I had a kid, and I had a kid,
and I had a kid.
Yeah, we're missing a couple people. We're missing Connor. We're missing Tony. They could not make it today, but that's okay. And I'm sure you guys know everybody. Will, Diamondfigs, Seth, Beyond the Dune Sea, my best friend, Cole, the Cosmic Drifter.
Hello.
And myself, Grayson. We are not covering a book today, as you probably can tell from the title and the thumbnail, which was a banging thumbnail that Will made, if I gotta say so myself.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're doing Star Wars What Ifs, which is something that people do all the time in the community. This was Seth's idea. Take credit for it, Seth. Embrace this moment.
Thank you.
Seth, you kill me, bro.
Yeah.
I'm
just happy to be here.
We're happy you're here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the idea was because Bad Batch and Tales of the Empire, whatever preposition was there.
Yeah.
Tales of the Empire.
Tales by the Empire.
Tales for the Empire. Yeah, so we were like, last book we did was Dark Disciple. And then we kind of got busy doing some of our own stuff, so we figured it would be cool to, at least whoever could make it, we all create our own structure of what ifs to kind of bridge the gap between all the busyness, and then hopefully kind of set up what we'll be hopping back into for more regular streams. So yeah, we'll kind of plug a little bit of that at the end loosely, but that's really all I got. We got our we talked before, and Cole wants to go third. Seth wants to go last, and I think Will wants to go...
No.
You want to go last?
I'm going last.
Okay. So
Will
Seth
wants to go first.
Seth, you want me to go first? I'm ready.
You can go first, or I can too. I don't care. I can
You
go
guys-
first.
you guys
I
both
can
go
be
at
the
the
adult.
same
I can
time.
go first.
Thank you for
Okay.
offering. Yeah, I would rather go last.
Go at the
Okay.
same time. Talk
All
over
right,
each
so-
other.
We all talk at the same time.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
It's like when that person who made the edit of all of the movies playing at once, dude.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Horrible. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I got up to try to see the chat. I'm far away from my computer, and I was like, I still can't see the chat. It's fine. I don't know what they're saying.
Let's catch up with the chat, I guess,
Okay.
first, because I don't know, how many people do we have currently watching, Will?
We got 11. We're here. 11
Hey.
people. Hey, all 11 of you.
1,000 viewers. Hello,
Yep.
everyone. Thank you so much for attending.
Metroplex is here. Hey.
Goated.
It's only Metroplex. I was going to say Retroplex.
Tales from Tashi Station is here.
Oh, we got something to add about that as well. Say to the end.
Ooh. JT is here. Hey, JT.
JT made a
What up?
banging lightsaber video where he was doing it in the style of Wesley Snipes' Blade, and it was sick, dude. Like, he was like swinging his lightsaber like Blade, and I was like, dude, this is gas.
Oh, I thought you meant like with all like the blood coming down like at the
It
beginning.
was
of the one.
he was playing the music from the like Blood Rave or whatever, which is
Yeah.
kind of fire. Yeah.
Chris is here. Hey, Chris. Daniel. Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here on a Saturday.
What's the highlights this weekend, Daniel?
We just switched to sports real quick. Sir Django Fett. This is the Django Fett in the timeline where he has been knighted by Queen Elizabeth.
Is that Jake Bartok, Sir Django Fett? I love this art. They're good.
And Cole, not Cole, but Cole is here. Hey, Cole. Nice to see you.
Hey, Cole, what's going on, man? From Cole. Sincerely.
Oh, well,
You're going
Thanks.
first, Grayson?
I guess I'm going first.
Guys, can I just say before we
I
get
said
into
I would
these,
be an adult.
I'm an adult.
I'd go. I'll do it.
Yippee!
You want to roll some chance dice for it?
Ooh, I have some.
I have some as well. Here, you by all means.
No, they're upstairs. That'd be really foolish of me.
Mine are-
I'd have to go away. I'd have to
He said I have them. Never mind.
I do have them.
roll for first what if?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What color are you picking?
I guess I have to go red.
There you go. If I can get this darn bag open, you'll get your rent when you fix this dang door. You
Guys,
understand
can I
that
just
reference?
Say while,
That's
while
Spider-Man
Grayson's-
3.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Will?
I was gonna say while Grayson is opening this bag, it's just nice to see everybody face to face. You know,
It is. It's
It's
been a little
nice.
bit.
It
It's
has.
nice.
It has.
Make sure.
It's good to
Okay.
see you.
So have we explained to the folks at home what we're doing? I know that you kind of like queued me up to do that, and then I ran away to go look at the chat, and I still can't see the chat. It's fine. There's no way I can make the chat bigger, right, guys?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, it's fine. Everyone's just little dots over there. Like it's on the
It's
other
just-
side of my computer is on the other side of my room. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, if you want to explain it before I roll this dice.
So basically, we took the idea of like the Marvel comics or the Marvel TV show, or What If, or you could go DC's Elseworlds.
Yep.
Basically, we all took one decision and changed it, and then where does it go? And Star Wars has kind of had a history in this. There were 3 books released called The Infinities. I think they were released before Episode 3, actually, and yeah, which the first one was what if Luke didn't destroy the Death Star?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Second one is what if Luke died on Hoth?
Yes.
And then the third one is what if the getting the retrieval of Han Solo's body didn't go as planned? So
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember that one.
it's not the strongest of the 3, in my
Oh.
opinion.
What?
Yeah.
So what was the one then with the white Vader suit?
That's
then?
that one. It's in like 2
Oh.
frames at the very end.
That's
Oh.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't they make a Lego minifigure of that for a set, or was that leaked or something?
I believe
They-
so. There's a black series of him.
Oh yeah.
There's a
Redeemed
Black
Vader.
Series.
Yeah.
The Lego is supposedly coming out because there were all of these like leaked what if sets that people were
Mhm.
talking about, which a lot of them are pertain to what's probably going to come out in that Lego what if movie thing that's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of those are like White Vader. There's a Dark Ray with evil Chewbacca on an evil Millennium Falcon.
Huh.
Darth
Evil
Jar Jar,
Falcon.
Jedi Bob was one of them, which is
I was about to say that has to be for that film thing then.
yeah. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were thinking that it was setting up for there to be a Star Wars What If because it got leaked around the time that the second season of the MCU What If was coming out.
Yeah.
But
Ah.
it's just for the Lego Darth Jar Jar movie, whatever that's going to be.
Gotcha.
What? Yeah. What is that called again? What did
Isn't
you?
it?
You looked it up on the
I
most
did.
recent episode. And
I
I
know.
forgot
It's
already.
not like. Yeah.
I can pull it up.
I don't know.
All
Seth,
I'm
can you
thinking of
get
is-
up and walk across your room and type it in on your computer.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, Seth, you have to do it.
It's like those people that have the cameras like in the corner of their room when they're on like Omegle or something, and it's like
Yeah.
we just see like a POV.
Yeah.
Oh, what the
Yeah, all I can think of is the Freemaker Adventures, and that was like something from years ago.
Boo.
Hey, it had some cool ideas. I don't really remember much about it. though.
It's called Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy.
Oh, yes. They had
Oh,
the
because it's like, like rebuilding, like Legos. Got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Galaxy like
Yeah.
Star
Look at you,
Wars.
Cole.
Yeah. So yeah. Cool.
okay.
What?
I don't get.
So
We-
when it's
we
just like
talk about-
rebuilding the galaxy, it's like with Legos you build and it's
Not
like
Legos, more like
galaxy-
Mega Blocks, really.
What's that?
Mega Bloks?
What was Star Wars again?
We'll see you guys later.
Have a good one, guys.
So I'll just start with my what if pitch.
Oh, I was gonna roll the die.
Then do it.
You're red. You're red. I won't use the Force on it. Oh,
I was about ready to.
Your favorite character, Qui-Gon. It's been a little too long since I've got to make that joke. You are up, Seth.
I thought
Lovely.
You froze, though.
Show the audience. Bull. Anyway.
We also didn't see the roll, so
Exactly.
we could've
That's
just
what I'm
put a
calling
face-
bull. You could just I guess it's red.
Like a Two-Face, bro? You want to
I
get
guess
my
it's
camera? It's red, dude.
I made my
Okay.
own luck.
Exactly. All right. Okay. So to tell everybody, to tell the chat, to tell you guys. So I wrote this up. I've been cooking this up for quite a while now. I love it, yet I hate it at the exact same time, like straight up. Like there's things I really like about it. There's things I don't. So I kind of just wrote out bullet point. You can't even, no way. That you can't see that. That's fine. I wrote out a bunch of bullet points, and so we could stop and talk. So if you guys have questions about stuff, please ask me, and I will try to explain it. But I think it works for the most part. So
I think our plan is definitely like you will say yours, and we'll let you just go off, and then we'll all talk about it, right? We'll all critique it, what we like, what we maybe could like chime in,
improve
and we'll
on.
do that we'll do it for everybody's, right?
Okay. All right. Well, here's where the fun begins.
Woo.
Even in a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there's a prism of endless possibility where a single choice can branch into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the ones you know. I am Seth from beyond the Dune Sea. I am your guide through these vast realities. Follow me as we ponder the question, what if? Do I sound okay?
That's so gas. Yes.
Okay.
Dude.
All right. Okay. I leaned forward. So, Ahsoka Tano, sent to deal with a crisis on the planet Mandalore, now faces her own moral crisis. The former Sith Lord Darth Maul has presented her with information from a deadly premonition. Her former master, Anakin Skywalker, will join Maul's former master and fall to the dark side. She now chooses to join with Darth Maul to attempt to stop the revenge of the Sith. Okay.
Okay.
So now we bullet pointed up, okay? And feel free, you can stop me at any point. I'm just going to slowly go through these and kind of talk about the bullet points, okay?
Okay.
All right, so first, Maul convinces Ahsoka to join him, then causing a ceasefire on Mandalore. Maul and Ahsoka regroup on her Vindicator-class Star Destroyer. While they are trying to reach the Jedi Council to talk to Yoda and everybody, all of a sudden, Order 66 happens. They open fire on all of them. Ahsoka, Maul, Gar Saxton, and Bo-Katan, and a couple other people are able to get on a Fang fighter and get out of there. Okay? They all of a sudden then hear a distress signal. They find a blockade runner, and they run into Obi-Wan and Yoda and Bail Organa. Okay? They then realize, oh my gosh, the temple's in array. That's the First Order business. So they go back to the Jedi Temple. So, and they get the signal beacon turned off, and they reset it still, just like Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. In doing so, they all kind of become a D&D party. So like Yoda becomes the wizard, Obi-Wan becomes the knight, Ahsoka's the ranger, Maul's the undead knight, Bo-Katan's the warrior, and Gar Saxton's the soldier. Okay.
Oh, I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But then they decide to do the thing that a D&D group should never do. They split up. Okay. Vader still meets with Padme, and he's still sent to the Mustafar system. Yoda, Maul, and Gar go to Palpatine, while Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Bo go after Darth Vader. Okay? Palpatine rounds up all the senators and brings them to the Senate, fearing another Jedi attack. Vader is overwhelmed physically and emotionally by Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Bo, and he's put in the Force dampening box, the same one that they put Maul into it. Okay. Yoda, Maul, and Gar try to overthrow Palpatine, but basically he's able to spin it like the Jedi are there to attack the senators, and Yoda decides to stand down because he can't risk a fight in front of everybody. Maul, being the opportunist, then swears his allegiance and Mandalore's to the Empire. But he hopes to be able to just get close to Anakin to kill him. Okay. Palpatine sets up a public execution outside of the Senate building, complete with a lightsaber guillotine, just like Tross.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like when it was like Duel of the Fates or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep. All right. Then he's going to bring a public ending to the Jedi uprising. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Bo arrive just in time to break up the public execution. Now we have a face-off on top of and in front of the Senate building. Okay, so we're like in the, you know how there's that big overhang. They're like on the levels of that fighting. Okay, still in front of everybody. Okay, so huge face-off. Ahsoka versus Maul, Bo versus Gar, Palpatine versus Obi-Wan, and Yoda. Cue the Duel of the Fates playing while this is all happening. Okay?
Yeah, dude.
Okay? All right. As the villains gain the upper hand, Vader is brought to the battle and is brought to the battle. He's still locked in his prison, okay? Maul and Ahsoka realize Anakin's going to be the only thing that is going to be able to actually bring down Palpatine. Maul plans, so they're like, okay, we got to let him out. But Maul plans on killing him as soon as they let him out. Ahsoka plans on just freeing him, okay? So Palpatine then begins to kind of, they decide that they stop fighting. Palpatine then begins to force drain Kenobi and Yoda, just like he does in The Rise of Skywalker to Rey and Kylo. So it's making him stronger. That's when Padme's like, hold up, what is going on? So she rallies the other senators and they try to do something about it. But Palpatine and all the clone troopers, they push them back and everything. No, you know your place. All right, we're dealing with this. But unfortunately, that's in the view of Anakin. And he could see now that Padme and his unborn kids are in trouble. So he then summons all the power of the Force from the light side and the dark side, and he shatters that thing open that he's inside. And then doing so, I'm sorry. I missed a spot. So Maul, he's still in there. He can see that happening. Maul and Ahsoka get there. They attempt to break Vader out, but then that's when Ahsoka realizes that Maul wants to kill him, and so that's when they actually fight. So that's where you get your Clone Wars Maul versus Ahsoka fight. Still, okay. Vader, seeing his children in trouble, summons the Force. He breaks it open. He knocks Maul back. Vader then basically becomes Anakin again. That realizes, holy crap, what am I doing? And then he rallies Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Ahsoka behind him, and Rise of Skywalker, they all force push Palpatine. Okay, boom, he hits the wall. Lots of stuff crumple behind him and everything. There's a peaceful beat where you think, oh my gosh, they won, they did it, happy ending. All of a sudden, it slowly starts to rain. Palpatine busts out of all the rubble that he's in, and he unleashes a force storm, possibly that could threaten the entire planet. We're talking Dark Empire. It could swallow Coruscant. Yeah. Okay. So Maul and Gar, they're not stupid. They flee. This is when Maul's like, this truly might be the revenge of the Sith, as he's running off. Okay. Anakin has a premonition of the future, but this time it's a positive one. And unfortunately, he's not in it. He knows what he has to do. And he ends up tackling Palpatine off the Senate building, and it kills both of them. Anakin dies along with Palpatine. He fulfills the prophecy, brings balance to the Force. Padme still has the twins. They are born. Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka start a new Jedi Order. Maul still starts the crime syndicate, and Bo is elected Mandalore. And there you go. Yeah.
That's very. It's so cinematic. I love the way that you bring that across. I could fully visualize the whole thing that you were saying.
Yeah.
And everything that, as far as I could tell, everything that the characters were doing felt very much in character.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only point that I was like peculiar on was this. I think this is my only question is when they go to fight Palpatine when they split up, right? And Maul, it was Maul, Yoda, and Gar Saxon.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, so it's two points.
I couldn't put Obi-Wan with Maul. That's the whole thing.
So that was my first question. Is I was like, what is Obi-Wan's reaction earlier on when they're like, "Oh, here's Maul. We teamed up, by the way." Like, that's my only thing where I'm like, would he be okay with that?
But I mean, I think he'd be okay with it in order to save Anakin
in the circumstance.
Yes, that it's like, hey, at this point, there is no Jedi Order. Like, we have to, like, very Lord of the Rings, our list of allies grow very thin. That, we have to work with who.
It's also a good point, because, like, even Obi-Wan and Anakin in Clone Wars, there's that episode where they team up with Dooku because of the situation that they're in, when it's like, that makes sense.
And again, I tried to keep them away from each other as much as I could. So, and I feel like that even in the temple, I don't see them fighting alongside each other. I see them in different spots in the temple and stuff like that.
Because like you said, Maul's the opportunist, and I like the idea of like maybe Maul when they do decide to split up. Maul's like, I'll go help fight Anakin, right? Because he wants to kill Anakin, and then Obi-Wan's like, no, you're not doing that. Like, I'm taking care of that, and Maul is like, fine, like, I'll go. So then my next question is Maul only interested in killing Anakin, or would he want to also kill Palpatine?
I think ultimately he would want to do that as well. I think that this is just a means to the end, where it's like, all right, if I can get rid of, like, Anakin's going to be the most powerful of all of us. If I can get rid of him first, then I can deal with Palpatine later.
Yeah.
And I might as well team up. Like, I don't love it. Like, I really feel like it kind of
I think it's great, dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Like, the thing I don't like about it is that, like, it starts very Maul and Ahsoka-centric, and then they get lost, and then it becomes Maul and Ahsoka-centric again, like, towards the end.
No, I feel like that's the anchor of it.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't really care, is that I'm like, it should be their story, yet it's only, like, 2/3 of it is their story. In the middle, like, it gets kind of bogged down by Yoda and Obi-Wan, because I think that they're going to listen to Yoda and Obi-Wan. That's the whole thing. They're not going to, try and pull rank or whatever. Yeah, it's the fight for survival.
It's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that was really all my points, and I mean, the way you explained it makes complete sense. I love it. Will, you want to pull up some of the comments, because you're getting a lot of? I know you can't see it, Seth, but you're getting a lot of praise.
Cool.
So JT says he loves the EU references in that.
Yeah.
Dark Empire thing, very cool.
Yeah,
I love Dark Empire.
The idea of a force storm, and I love the idea of like the rain slowly falling and everyone's looking up, and it's like there's literally this storm that could swallow the entire planet.
The what if intro.
Yeah,
I think of course, very inspired. Like I was like, oh man, I'm into this. I'm here for it.
Okay, cool. I figured that you all wrote that, to be honest.
No, dude, you cooked with that.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I wish that I knew you were going to do that, and I would have had you record it on like iPhone audio and put it into the intro.
Oh,
yeah.
I wish I knew, because I didn't even think of that.
Gotcha.
Especially because of like how you switched the intro to like more Star Wars, but it was very cool.
I loved it.
If we do this again, definitely going to have you as the bald watcher.
Yeah.
Doing all the. Whoa! Look what he did. What?
I think it's a Mac. It's a Mac.
It is a Mac
exclusive
thing.
Okay. I was like, I'll go back up as well. Jar Jar Jargon brought up something. If you guys don't know him, he did like that little animated Heir to the Empire trailer.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, he said, "Yo, is this an ongoing series? And what book are you guys reading?" What book we're reading right now is The Living Force. The date determined for the live stream is a little up in the air right now. We'll kind of fill you in on the end of that. This What If thing is not planned as an ongoing series, but if people like it enough, I would be happy to make it, every once in a blue moon, we drop another What If thing. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of people, Tales from Tasha. I love that, Seth. Yeah.
Metroplex says, I'm so sad right now. Seth, when is the short fill coming?
Yeah, dude. When's the short film coming, bro?
I don't know. How do we make that? We need to hit up somebody who, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a big task, but it'd be
It
sick.
would be.
Yeah.
Would be. I felt like I kept it pretty grounded though, for the most part.
I agree. Yeah.
Is I feel like that, like, again, as you guys said, like I really thought about like the decisions the characters made.
Yeah.
And again, the big one was Maul and Obi-Wan. I'm like, all right, I gotta just try and keep them away from each other, because other than that, like,
I also
That
like
was really
Yoda. At first, I was like, oh, Yoda's like not gonna. The last I forgot the one thing was when Yoda, he kind of like he backs down. He doesn't want to fight the Emperor in front of the senators. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's really cool, because that is something like Yoda wouldn't want to actually paint them in the light that Palpatine is trying to paint them in, you know?
Yep.
And then Maul, I was like, oh, Maul sides with the Empire, but I'm like, when you think about it, Gar Saxon and Rebels sides with the Empire, and Maul is like that, you know?
Well, what I also like is that, like, so all the senators are there too, and then Maul has the Darksaber. He kind of speaks for Mandalore, so that's what I kind of like about that, is it's like him just being like, you know, that like, I swear my allegiance to you, and so does Mandalore.
Who does have the Darksaber? Because
he does. He just left it at wherever. He didn't bring it with him. At least I have to venture guess that's what's, because Ezra finds it in his little house or whatever.
Is that? Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's explaining, I think, that like Son of Dathomir comic, right?
He still has it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay.
So
gotcha.
that's why Gar Saxon still listens to him.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
The only thing that I was a little like, wait a minute, was right at the end of the idea of Ahsoka, Yoda, and Obi-Wan building a new Jedi Order.
Well,
just because, like, that, just the three of them working together now as Ahsoka, who previously had left the Order, and then that's the whole thing with Mandalore coming back, and then Yoda, like, the temple has fallen, right?
Yeah.
So his whole fleeing to Dagobah, but then in my head I justified it of like, him and Obi-Wan are trying to get Luke to kill Vader. I don't know if that was their goal of like, if Yoda had stayed alive and Luke ended Vader and the Emperor, would Yoda and Obi-Wan, if they were still alive come that ending, of wanted Luke to start a new Jedi Order? I've never thought about that before.
In mine, I didn't even say, they may not even be Force sensitive. I mean, they probably are. But I mean, there's no need
Luke
for the
and Leia?
kids. Yeah, the kids don't need to. The kids can just live their lives. Yeah. So they're just gonna live on Coruscant with their mom. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of open-ended, because it's like, if they were Force sensitive, I mean, of course they would probably be trained, but their father is gone, so they don't really have that familial attachment. But even if they're not Force sensitive, like, because what we hear so often is that the Force made Luke and Leia Force sensitive as a direct response to Palpatine and Vader being the most powerful people in the galaxy, you know? It's like, it's that Freddie Prinze Jr. Rant that he goes on where he's like 2 and 2 sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, if Anakin, I think it makes sense that, in my mind, Ahsoka would rejoin the Order with Yoda and Obi-Wan, because they.
Well, now you think can fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Yoda and Obi-Wan don't have those years of guilt of like, we did Anakin dirty, because Anakin immediately, like, very closely after, yes, he does all the bad stuff, but then he ends up coming around at the end, and they're like, okay, like, you think about how much that time of Obi-Wan simmering on Anakin becoming Vader, and that fight that they go through, how much that affected him. Same thing with Yoda, of being like, oh my, and of course that's still going to take a toll, but I think it makes sense for them to be like, man, we went through a huge blow, but like, Anakin did come around in the end.
Yeah, based on the timeline, I just of how quick the turnaround was for Anakin, of like, and also her seeing Anakin sacrifice, because she watches Anakin sacrifice. They all see Anakin make that sacrifice, right?
In my story,
so, yeah,
he tackled. They die like so, like, even though Palpatine's souped up, he could still die from a fall, and so that's why I'm like, all right, so he dies the same way. Vader just tackles him off the.
I love that.
Yeah,
and also,
Anakin tackles him off.
The coolest little thing that I loved, because this is one of my favorite things, even just in season 7, was the Mandalorian like force suppression box thing.
That's where I started. Like, I said I want to see Darth Vader in that, and I want to see him break it, because he won't because he's so powerful.
That's so sick.
Yeah, and so just that idea of like just him festering inside it. I'm like, all right, now I got to build a story around that. So that's what I started with. Yeah,
I love that, dude. That's dope.
Yeah.
We got a couple. You got a couple other people in the chat talking about your thing. Sir Jango Fett. It's very much Lord of the Rings with the different teams assigned different tasks, which I like. D&D party, you know.
Yep.
Maul saying this is truly the Revenge of the Sith reminds me of that meme where Anakin jumps over Kenobi's high ground saying it's skywalking time and the audience roars. I like the Revenge of the Sith thing.
I'm kind of, because again, maybe this movie isn't called Revenge of the Sith. So that was kind of my thought. And I was like, I mean, and I feel like with him being kind of out of his mind and everything, that like he could be kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit. So that was kind of my thought.
I mean, isn't it at one point? Doesn't he say Revenge of the Sith? Or does it? No, it's in Plagueis.
It is in Plagueis. They mentioned it a couple of times. So that's why I was like, why not? If they say it in a book, they could say it here.
Yeah. Because, you know, Maul isn't a Sith. So.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never thought about that. Like, if I had to pick a character in Star Wars to do, like, the Deadpool or the She-Hulk fourth wall breaks, Maul's a really good character for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because he's
and it's just because he's like insane.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought, is that his mind's already shattered to begin with. So, yeah.
And they keep cutting back to him talking to like the frame of him talking to the audience, but he's really just talking to open air nobody. They're like, that guy's crazy.
Whenever he's like looking at the screen, it's like the fisheye view, so his forehead looks really big, and he's just like. Oh man,
that's great. Isn't there
that's awesome?
The piece of fan art for that, Cole?
Yes.
There's like a little. Yeah. I forgot about that.
It's oh my god, I'm not.
It's really funny.
I like this because what I was thinking was I would love to see Maul have to use like the dual bladed of connecting the dark saber to
sick, dude.
Like a red saber at the end.
Yeah,
because we see him fight with both in the Clone Wars, but they're never attached, right? Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go. That's Seth's story.
I love it, Seth.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I would love to see.
If they ever do a Star Wars What If, I really want that to be on the series. I think that would be. I think that would be really good. They should,
especially because like the entire the framing of the atmosphere and where each thing took place, like having the final battle on the steps of the Jedi Temple is very cool.
Yeah. Well, Senate building, but yes.
Yeah, Senate building.
Senate building.
It's
very cool.
It's all right.
Although it would be, I mean, even then it would be really cool, like, if you were to change that, where, like, imagine Palpatine, I mean, the Senate building would make more sense, like, logistically, but imagine if he tried to execute Yoda on the steps of the Jedi Temple, like, that has been, that also is pretty cool, you know? I mean, they both really work,
Yes, I like that dome. I figured the idea of like him tackling them and then they both like slide down and hit the
I don't know why immediately I think of like the Dark Knight when he's like sliding to catch Rachel, but at this time he's like die, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking too that like Palpatine's like electrocuting him as he's running at him, and he's like, you know, getting beat up and everything, and like still grabs him and then takes him over.
I think that kind of idea of it being like in the Senate and like the public execution and all that stuff and those kinds of settings, it really appeals to that Shakespearean kind of vibe that the prequels and especially Revenge of the Sith give off.
Agreed.
So I think it's very much on brand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good
10
stuff.
out of 10, Seth. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. You guys are going to laugh so hard now. I kind of want Seth to now do that little intro for all of us, because I don't have that written down in front of me right now.
Well, you could put in what your thing is. When I stop talking, you could...
That's what I'm saying, is like, could you just intro, I'll MC all of those little beginning things, and then I'll...
Well, I guess I could just... So, after I say what if, you start, okay? Okay, do you want me to... Okay, alright, I can change it a little bit. So it's from the group rather than from Beyond the Dune Sea. So I'll change that to I'm Seth from Tales of the Archive. Okay. Sure. Even in a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there is a prism of endless possibilities, where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the ones you know. We are Tales from the Archive. We will be your guide through these. We will be your guides through these vast new realities. Follow us as we ponder the question, what if?
should I? I'll just say it plainly. What if Ezra truly did fall to the dark side?
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Technically, the what if Ezra became Maul's apprentice like he thought he would. So,
Okay.
okay. Minor bullet points, not as graceful as Seth's, and also there probably are some plot holes because I have not watched Rebels in its entirety since it was on air, and I've watched episodes since then, but never like front to cover. So there's little things that I might forget. We'll correct it. But I tried to remember as much as I could about the big strokes. Post Malachor, post season 2, when Ezra gets the holocron, he's using that information and he is growing more tempted by the dark side, kind of like we see in the show. And just like in the show, he begins using the Force in darker ways on the Empire. Think when he took control of the ATDP, I guess is what it was, and started like killing their own troops, using it in that dark and twisted manner. But he's doing more of that against the Empire. And of course, Thrawn comes into play, and Thrawn really is creating this great opposition against these rebel cells. So his rise and his terror on the rebels is leading for Ezra to grow resentment towards the rebels for not taking extreme enough measures. And so he wants to start taking more extreme approaches, which is where he actually starts to side more like a little bit on the side with Saw Gerrera, with his kind of more terrorist-like actions. Of course, Maul comes into the picture. And so eventually Ezra getting fed up with the Ghost crew, being tempted by the dark side, and just Thrawn punishing the rebels in general, he ends up abandoning the Ghost crew for a little bit, and he lashes out at Kanan and Sabine, especially, who try to stop him. Think the fallout in Batman the Animated Series when Dick Grayson kind of quits being Robin against Batman, he kind of throws down a little bit with them. Not a straight up lightsaber fight, but he goes to seek out Maul. And Maul is of course thrilled to make Ezra his new apprentice. So him and Maul start also seeking darker ways to enact vengeance on the Empire, again lining up with Maul's goal to kind of retaliate against the Empire, Vader, Palpatine, etc. I wrote in here because I guess I misspoke. Of course, Maul still has the Darksaber. I wrote in here that he reclaimed the Darksaber, but he's always had it because I forgot about that. And so the Mandalorian people are a little bit split, and he uses that along with Ezra to try to reunite the Mandalorian people to destroy the Empire, Palpatine, and Vader. And he goes to find Gar Saxon, which is on the planet Kronos, which is kind of where we see that little arc with Sabine and her family. And he's fed up with Gar Saxon because Gar Saxon is now part of the Empire. And so he executes Gar Saxon, kind of similar to Pre-Vizsla, and rallies a lot of the extremist Death Watch Imperial Super Commando people. So especially those Mandalorians that begin working with the Empire, and he's like, no, you follow me now. Of course, Sabine and her family and a few of the Mandalorians end up refusing Maul's leadership. And Maul kills Sabine. He punishes her, but Sabine is the first one to speak out, and Maul kills Sabine. And of course, Ezra does not like that. So this is, it's pretty this takes over a period of time. But when Sabine is killed by Maul, Ezra, of course, turns on Maul. He's like, this is not like you were like, despite my grievances with the rebels, like this is never something that I wanted to do, was to anybody from my my old family get killed. Mm-hmm. So Ezra begins to fight Maul. He confronts Maul, and of course Ezra is still steeped in the dark side, so he's turning on his master. And Ezra is, of course, no match for Maul, and so is injured severely before Kanan shows up and drives Maul away. And somewhere in here, Bo-Katan reclaims the Darksaber, but with Sabine's death, I don't know if you guys remember in Rebels, the machine that basically targets Beskar and evaporates Mandalorians, they actually are unable to destroy that. So the purge of Mandalore happens far sooner. And so Bo-Katan still lives, has the Darksaber, but most of the Mandalorians are wiped out, just like we see in the Night of a Thousand Tears. Ezra, from his injuries, is actually sent into a coma. But the rebellion, Kanan pleads with them, and they keep Ezra safe with the rebellion. But again, he's just in this permanent coma. Again, this is it's kind of hopping all over the place a little bit, but eventually, Kanan gains access to the World Between Worlds, and rescues Ahsoka, just like Ezra does with her. And in the War Between Worlds, they actually speak with the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn, who has manifested himself as a Force ghost. And he assures Kanan, who is kind of, doubting himself. He's failed Ezra. He's failed as a master. And Qui-Gon's like, no, Ezra's alive. He's still in there. His spirit is alive and well, but currently, it's the will of the Force that they can't confront the Emperor or Vader. All right, that's not their destiny. There's only one that can truly save the soul of Vader. And so, even though they are with the rebellion, they are Jedi or whatever Ahsoka determines herself to be, they can't do that. And of course, Ahsoka already had her confrontation with Vader. So is Kanan. They've met them. And a little bit differently from the show, Hera is actually not kidnapped like she is in the show, and Saw Gerrera is the one who ends up sabotaging the TIE Defender project, and when those fuel canisters explode, a ton of Lothal people are killed in the process. So that's kind of like the final nail in the coffin. Like the Rebels, like we are not associating with Saw Gerrera, but it does destroy the TIE Defender project. So it's supposed to be kind of like a dark inverse on Kanan's humble sacrifice. It's Saw Gerrera has this, like, he loses a lot of his people, but also a lot of Lothal is destroyed, or at least a lot of Lothal people are killed. But the Battle of Lothal still does happen. The rebellion is not going to give up on Lothal. Of course, I should mention, Ahsoka was put back through the portal just like as she was. And I think it'd be interesting as well, I didn't put this in here, but that Kanan tries to, similar to how Ezra wants to save Kanan in his sacrifice, Kanan is tempted to try to stop Ezra, and especially try to save Sabine. The loss of basically a daughter figure, but Qui-Gon Jinn avoids, tells him, he's like, no, you can't do that, basically. In the Battle of Lothal, Kanan ends up doing the exact same move that Ezra does to Thrawn, and their blitz to Peridia. Ezra, in the coma, is unable to be present in the Galactic Civil War. He is in the galaxy, but he is in this permanent coma, and so he is like, he's just like, they don't have that Jedi, and of course Kanan is in another galaxy, and that is the living force's will, that only Luke can confront Vader and the Emperor, and so Ezra is unconscious for the entire tenure of the Galactic Civil War, and he awakens a little bit after the Battle of Jakku.
Wow.
And of course, Ahsoka finds him, and Ezra, being in his coma, he's really out of tune with the Force. So Ahsoka kind of helps train him, kind of taking him on as a Padawan, similar to, or as an apprentice, similar to Sabine. And together, they go searching for Kanan. mirroring the end of Rebels or the beginning of Ahsoka. And I have a quote here to parallel what Sabine says about Ezra. Kanan is out there, and we're going to bring him home. Back to Hera, back to his son, back to his family. And then Ahsoka's events play out somewhat similar, but instead of Sabine learning the Force, it's Ezra rekindling his power after being in a coma for so long. That's where I have it ending. Not as graceful as Seth's, unfortunately.
No, that's really good.
Yeah. Thoughts? I told you, Kanan does live.
how befitting of you that it is a story about like essentially the Rebels characters, and then it remixes that, but also it's about Kanan.
You know what was funny is originally I was not gonna make Kanan live, and then I was like, well, this is kind of what's gonna end up happening though if I want the characters to do what I want them to do, like. And then I was like, I'll throw that in there. It's like Kanan can live. But I know my one critique with my own What If is that the title's a little misleading because Ezra, I don't get a whole lot into, I do a lot of tell not showing, obviously, with Ezra being Maul's Padawan, or Padawan, his apprentice. Sith don't have Padawans. But I really wanted to prolong what was one of my critiques with Rebels is that I never felt like we got long enough of Ezra using the dark side, which I thought was a very interesting thing. Of course, and I didn't really address the whole Maul Obi-Wan thing. That was the main plot hole that I kind of didn't really
what happened to him? That's my one question. Maul runs away.
Yeah,
Then
Maul,
what?
Kanan pushes it back, and I guess, Maul goes to find Obi-Wan. He's like, fine, if I can't, rally the Empire once more, I'm going to go find Obi-Wan. That was the thing that I forgot about, right?
Okay.
So it stays relatively the same. So, yeah.
Something I really do like, though, you gave excuses for everybody not being involved in the OT. Ezra's in a coma. Ahsoka knows not to get involved because only Luke can do it.
Yep.
That, like, Kanan's off in Peridia. Like, I was like, okay, you nice bow on all that. That's nice.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest things for the OT is I am such a Luke yes, I know it's conjecture on Yoda's part, but like truly I want Luke to be the only predominant Jedi for the rebellion. Like there has to be reasons specifically why. Because one of the biggest things in canon that always bothers me is, yes, Ahsoka, like why didn't Ahsoka rejoin the rebellion? Because clearly she's out there. She gets placed right back in the same timeline. So I'm like, I like the idea of Qui-Gon being like, you've already faced Vader. You can't do that. Someone else will come along that will redeem or will confront them, not redeem them.
I do like the idea of that the Force manifests itself as Qui-Gon Jinn. I feel like that's
really
a fitting
cool.
moment for him.
It's after we rewatched the Mortis arc, I was like, Qui-Gon pops up a couple times there. And that's the only time he's able to like physically present himself. And I'm like, from what we see from Anakin, Anakin can, like, for what we see in Ahsoka, can physically be in the world between worlds, at least as far as we know. And I was like, it makes sense that at least Qui-Gon can appear to them.
I mean, Qui-Gon showed up at the end of Obi-Wan as a ghost, so he could. Yeah. I don't know why he couldn't.
It's the same. Like, what is that thing that Force ghosts can make themselves seen when they are ready for the person. When the person is ready for them to be seen,
Yeah. It's that Sam Witwer thing of it's a two-way street of like his example is at the beginning of or at the end of A New Hope, he can only hear a faint voice of Obi-Wan, and then at the beginning of Empire, he can kind of see Obi-Wan presenting himself, but then come time for Return of the Jedi, they can sit down and like have a cup of coffee on a log.
Yeah.
It's just how open the person who is viewing the Force ghost is in conjunction with how the Force is showing it to that person. It's like your door has to be open as well to even receive that Force ghost in its entirety.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. I know I like Seth way better than mine personally, because mine is a little, I would say, fanficky, where it's like, oh, Kanan gets to live. but
I mean,
also
they're all
I was like,
fanficky. Like
I was
that's
gonna
kinda
say,
the way it
mine
works.
read like a comic book. Like, I mean, like
Yeah,
it was,
I guess.
it was. So
I also wanted to make sure I was like, well, if someone is going to live, someone still has to die, right? There has to be that kind of swap, like
that balance.
yeah. And I was like, I like the idea of Sabine being the reason why Ezra kind of wakes himself up. He's like, yo, what? Like, we did not agree to this, Maul.
Right. I dig
Yeah.
that a lot.
Thanks.
What's Chopper doing?
Oh, I don't know. Probably teams up with Saw Gerrera. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
curious.
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's
No.
revealed that he was Saw Gerrera's puppet master the whole time.
Gotcha.
Chopper
funny what if.
got Tech killed. No, I'm kidding. I wanted to also double down on the fact that I was never like a Saw Gerrera hater pre-Bad Batch, but now a lot of people really dislike him because, you know, he is a main reason why Tech ends up dying in that show. And so I was like, I want to have more moments of Saw being, you know, going a little too far, right?
It's easy to make Saw the villain because
Yep.
it's the other side of the coin of the rebellion of we want to get this done, but kind of
We
like
don't-
the
We don't want to
the
be like
Luth and
them.
Rail
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
it all of like I'm living to see a sunrise that I'll never get to see, and then like
yeah.
him having to do the hard thing of, even though is the hard thing always the right thing, that's the question, but Saw Gerrera is the other side of that, where like the rebellion in terms of like the rebels, like the Ghost Crew, are kind of like the morally good, and
Mhm.
Saw Gerrera is like the morally good, but will do the thing that he's like, whatever the first option is of like, doesn't matter how many casualties. So it's easy to put him as the antagonist, kind of almost in the Maul situation too, where like
Yeah.
in yours, Seth, where Maul's goal is to kill the Emperor. That's a good thing if the Emperor is done, but
Yeah.
Maul is not a good person doing it. Like
Yeah.
it's cool how they both kind of fit into that antagonist, like, well, not really antagonist, but not, I wouldn't want to call him an anti-hero either, just kind of that
Yeah.
like that pinpoint in Star Wars.
His POV is like why that conversation in Siege of Mandalore is so compelling. Of you're like, oh, like, man, maybe he's got some points, dude. Like, I know
Yeah.
Maul's done some bad stuff, but like when I mean, we think about it, like, I mean, this is the basis of yours, but Ahsoka was going to join Maul until Maul was like, I'm gonna kill Anakin, you know?
You lie.
So yeah. It's just like, yeah.
I like
so
that a
good,
lot.
dude. Thanks. Thanks, man.
Let's see what the chat has to say. First off, member chat from this guy.
What's up?
Thanks, dude.
What's up, Andor
Most
lover?
handsome
Whoa,
live
I
stream
love that
ever,
guy.
Tony says. We met him. We know this guy.
Yeah, unfortunately. What?
Seriously, Star Wars. Hey, gents. What's up, dude? Thanks for being here.
Hold on.
What up, man?
Quinlan Voss says, what if Jar Jar was ate by a big goober fish?
With huge teeth?
Tony says, leave Maul alone, Seth. I don't know what you did to Maul, but
I was about to say, I don't think we did anything to Maul. Like,
I was gonna say, in fact, I think I made him a better character. In mine,
wow.
gave him more to do.
I forgot you do hate Maul. I'm just kidding.
He's just not the best.
Tales
He's
from Tashi
awesome.
Station says, it's Luke or Leia that can turn Vader, or both. No one else can bring him back.
You would disagree with that?
Haven't you heard that like Tumblr post that it's like Obi-Wan
Yeah.
and Ahsoka cut both of him, but only Luke could remove the mask?
I
Okay,
love
but
it,
what
dude.
if it was Obi-Wan and
love it.
Ahsoka at the same time? You know,
Thank
like they
you.
were both there. I mean,
That's kind of the basis of mine, is that if they're
Yeah.
both there, that they
Yeah, there
could
you go.
like emotionally and physically overwhelm him and get
Yeah.
him into the box. Yeah.
Mm.
I do think Anakin would be a little bit peeved at Obi-Wan for the whole limb taken. If him and Ahsoka showed up at the same time to be like, "Hey, man, we just want to talk," and he's like, "The last time we just wanted to talk, I turned
Yeah.
out like this."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but in your what if, Steph, Anakin is still like, I mean, he's Vader, but he's not
He's
Robo
whole.
suit. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
He's
yeah.
whole.
Okay.
Yeah, because that really, I'm thinking it's pretty like again, they're able to overwhelm him more emotionally than they do
Yeah.
physically. Yeah, and that's how
But-
they can get him into the box, basically, because they
I
make
also-
him question what he's doing. They make him like, yeah,
I also like that it was Palpatine seemingly to him harming Padme, that he's like, which I guess we kind of share with that as like, Maul harms Sabine, Palpatine harms Padme, and we're like, no.
Yeah.
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I dig that a
wakes us
lot.
up.
I
Yeah.
also liked in yours, Grayson, how like Ahsoka takes on Ezra as her Padawan,
Mhm.
kind of the same way she takes on Sabine. But the whole thing with Sabine was like she was scared of Sabine's ability to like get angry and like
Mhm.
use her rage, and Ezra, who has already fallen to the dark side
Mhm.
and then came back from it. It's just that parallel was cool between the two of their characters, and then still becoming Padawans for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, it
Yeah.
feels like very, very faithful still. I
It
like
really
how-
is just like a flip, like a mirror flip of like things could have just happened a little bit differently,
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, I also was like the idea for Ezra is like, okay, Sabine struggling with like she's one of the most weakest Force users ever, right? Or at least in terms of her gateway to being a Force user, versus Ezra of being like, I want Ahsoka to kind of teach him. I want him to enter his like Zen phase kind of thing, kind of like what we see in Ahsoka, But instead, it's okay. Well, he's been in a coma for so many years. He got really messed up by Darth Maul. Now his master's gone, and it's like he's got to like really get back to be. And of course, a lot of that happened because of his actions. So there's a lot of like recentering, and I feel like if there's, a person that he knows, Ahsoka is the one to do that. And maybe what Ezra goes through also additionally helps Ahsoka turn into Ahsoka the White,
Well, just spiritually, intense darkness in someone's being
Mhm.
opens the possibility for intense change. It doesn't mean
Yep.
that it's going to happen, but someone at their lowest point is then open to the greatest change, a la Legend of Korra.
Yeah, I was about to say, I
But-
know that quote.
Yeah, and it's like just thinking about it that way, that Ezra kind of going through this darkness and almost like expedites that big change to being more, I don't know, Zen.
Yeah, hippie Ezra.
Yes.
If you guys don't mind, you guys can keep talking. I have to use the bathroom really badly before we hop on to Cole's, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. I will be right back.
We can do an
Okay.
intermission.
Okay.
Intermission. Yeah, and you can talk to the chat. Whatever. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you have a question for Grayson specifically, Seth?
No, I also have to use the restroom, so I will.
Go ahead.
I'll be real with you.
I mean,
yeah,
now's
but I
the
can
time
talk.
for
I'll
it.
wait for him. I'll wait for him to come back.
I mean,
So-
now's the time for it. You might
Yeah,
as well.
Okay,
Go ahead,
I'll be
man.
right back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
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 I stink at this at all
Wait,
this. Wait.
no, you're good. I was looking at chat.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Good.
You're good, man.
All right, I'll be right back.
Good job. Don't fall in.
All right, guys. It's time for lightning round questions. If you have any questions that Will and I specifically could answer,
Just
that
the
you want
two
us
of
to
us.
answer, just the two of us. Let me know. Please
wonder
tell
if
me
I
how
could-
good Andor is and why. You will be removed from the stream if you don't like it. So sorry. I'm just
Yep.
kidding. Yeah.
Welcome back to Dark
Will
Side FM.
more side side?
Mortis Secrets.
Secrets of the Archive Mortis.
This is where the audience number just skyrockets. Is us trying to figure out our podcast name.
All right, here let's throw out some lightning round what ifs.
Okay.
What if C-3PO like discovered the ability to use the Force?
At what point?
What if Chopper was equipped with an E11 throughout the entirety of Rebels?
And C-3PO knows how to use the Force. So these are non-exclusive.
We don't even
Okay.
have to talk about it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
What if
fine.
Yoda didn't die in Return of the Jedi? What if he wasn't that old?
What if Yoda was really tall?
Oh my god.
and he wasn't that small.
Completely changed because the size matters not thing probably affected his whole psyche, right?
Yeah, I mean,
What
he
if,
talked about it all the time.
What if Maul lost? What if Maul lost everything except for his head and managed to survive?
And he's like Nixon in Futurama, where
That's exactly what he's like. He's found on he's found by Savage as just like this like rolling jar.
he's just floating around in a Bacta tank, like the DVD like load screen button where it's like trying to hit the corner. That's how Maul's floating around in a Bacta tank, just bouncing back and forth between the glass.
Metroplex says, "What if Jabba was a skinny legend?"
That's a good one. He'd be a lot faster.
Grayson said he's back in the.
Oh, they're both back.
Been
All right,
sitting here
guys.
like,
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're just talking.
Sorry, we were just taking care of some business.
Gotcha. Well, you don't want to spoil too many what ifs.
Yeah.
Can't use up all of our ammo.
they're gonna make a we say they'll make a list and then we have to write them.
No, that was my idea for the next one. Is that we would all write one, or we would figure ones out and then throw them to each other.
I'm gonna be fair. There was maybe like
Ooh.
one or two that were actually serious. Most of it was just BS. Because
Gotcha.
I said,
Yeah.
like, what if Maul survived with just his head, and he's just rolling around in a jar?
I gotcha.
What if Yoda was really tall? I was also pretty serious about.
Yeah,
instead
sorry
of
about
being
that, man.
Yoda
He got stretched out like Mike from freaking Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No,
Remember
what
that?
if Yoda? What if Yoda was really tall, but everyone else was super short, like Yoda size?
Whoa!
I have a Photoshop of Yoda like taller than Obi-Wan. He's like 6'7".
Yeah.
And he's just like, it looks so weird, bro. It's so funny.
What if
Tony
Yoda...
says what? Tony says, "What if Andor was good?" I got a great enlightening period here for you, Tony. It is.
Yeah,
You're living in that
we're
reality.
living in that world,
I'm
dude.
so happy for you, man. That's awesome. Dreams become reality. What
Yeah.
can you do?
The what if truly is what if Tony liked Andor, and I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know. Who's up now, Cole?
All right,
Nikki.
I shall commence. So
Do you want me to read it?
Oh yeah, we gotta have the banger intro.
Yes.
Do you want the intro or not?
Yeah.
I can-
Okay. We'll stick to form.
We don't have to. I mean, I'm just
No. I'm good
Okay.
with it. I just forgot.
Okay.
I love you too, Tony. You just gotta love Andor, and then we'll talk.
I forgot.
Even in a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there is a prism of endless possibilities where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the ones you know. We are Tales from the Archive, and we will be your guides through these vast new realities. Follow us as we ponder the question, what if?
Thank you. What if Captain Rex went with Anakin to Coruscant instead of Ahsoka? You capture Maul, I'll take care of Grievous, and with a little luck, this will all be over soon, Anakin says to Ahsoka. Master Kenobi always says there's no such thing as luck, Ahsoka remarks wryly, prompting a response. Anakin smiles. Good thing I taught you otherwise. Anakin begins walking out the door where Captain Rex awaits, but before he reaches the other end of the doorway, Ahsoka calls out her former master's name. Anakin turns to look at her, and for the first time since she landed, Rex thinks Ahsoka may finally give Anakin the transparency he was desperate for. But she couldn't. Maybe it wasn't the right time. All she could muster saying was, good luck. Anakin nods to reassure her, but as he turns to go back down the hall, Rex catches a shadow over his face. It wasn't enough, but it would do for now. When this was all over, they'd have all the time in the world. Rex salutes her with a smile and all the confidence he could muster. They share a knowing look that soon it'll be all right, and he turns heel to catch up to his general. Should I have sent you to go with her? Anakin says, not turning his head. What if she needs more help? Jesse, Vaughn, and the boys can handle it, sir, and so can she, Rex reassures him. You trained it for it. The days following were a crescendo of events for the Clone Wars. Albeit haphazard, the Chancellor was rescued successfully, supplemented with the death of the Count by the hands of Skywalker and tossing the Separatist rule into disarray. In an incredible turn of luck, the plans Captain Rex and Echo once devised were able to freeze Separatist forces into a landlock. And though he attempted it, General Grievous was intercepted attempting to escape to a loophole via escape pod. He is taken into Republic custody, and the Separatist formation around Coruscant's atmosphere is soon decimated. The word peace begins to take place in minds across the galaxy. In the meanwhile, the siege of Mandalore is proceeding, though not entirely as planned. Kenobi, Rex, and Skywalker keep general tabs on the conflict and learn through brief communication with Ahsoka that Maul speaks of someone by the name of Sidious. Obi-Wan verifies that the Council suspects Sidious is behind the Clone Wars, but to Anakin's obvious chagrin, learning that through Dooku is now impossible. Anakin suggests that perhaps Grievous could be of use in that regard. Ahsoka asks for more men, and even though Skywalker resists, Kenobi tells her to wait for the day's court session. On Coruscant, Grievous is brought before the Republic courts, broadcasted live to the Senate in active session. Some call for his immediate destruction, but Palpatine calls for calm, declaring that while the defeat of Dooku was a casualty of war, execution of prisoners is not reminiscent of the Republic that has stood for over 1,000 years. It would make us no better than the lawlessness of the Outer Rim, he says. A rush of agreement flows through the Senate, but thoughts begin to stir. What of the Jedi? A senator suggests. Surely the general's protection is at stake. His actions have murdered more of their kind in 3 years than the Nile did for decades. How do we know the Jedi won't seek revenge? At ease, my friend, Palpatine says over the murmuring court. This does not align with their beliefs. I have full faith that their ages-old ideals will hold firm, and that the question of the general's safety already has an answer. He is the safest he could possibly be in the custody of the graces of our good Republic. This calms the Senate, but the Chancellor continues. But this is not why the General is here. We are to discuss the terms of surrender and the terms of peace to end this war that scalds our great galaxy. But as we know, this peace is not yet attainable. The Separatist leaders are scattered, yet still in hiding. The Outer Rim sieges yet continue. The Separatist army is still operable. In order to secure a peaceful transition, we call upon the General now to relinquish this information. Captain Tarkin, main interrogator and prosecutor of the court, faces the General. What does the defendant have to say? Grievous is given the floor. He is broadcasted live to the Senate. He takes a moment viewing the holographic Senate, the courts, and the Jedi. When his eyes fall upon the latter, he begins to laugh. His subsequent cough, running through HoloNet servers, echoes in the Senate chamber. The boogeyman of the Clone Wars now laid bare for the Republic to witness. In chains, yet remaining undeterred, amused even. There is nothing for me to say, he says, only that to be here among you all, closer now to the Jedi Temple than ever before, am I filled with joy. Even in custody, you fear me, and now you hide behind your senators, Jedi. You will not find the Separatists. The war will continue, and you shall have from me. All you shall have from me is a demand for a warrior's death. The Senate erupts in outrage. The session reaches no conclusion. It is postponed for the General to face further interrogation and questioning. He is secured within the deepest levels of Republic prison, never to be visited unless for case-related inquiries. For a time, the idea of peace begins to fade. The war continues and the Republic is still spread thin, and Separatist leaders remain unseen. Someone commands the army from the shadows. The Council suspects it is the elusive Sidious, of which Grievous speaks nothing of. With the help of Skywalker, now appointed to the Council as Palpatine's representative, Kenobi, perhaps partially wishing to pay tribute to Sidine, petitions to assist Ahsoka in the war effort on Mandalore, on the supposition that Maul speaks of Sidious. With no place left to turn, the Council approves of this notion, sending Kenobi and the 212th there, along with Anakin's attachment of the 501st, going in full force to find and capture their last seeming lead to uncovering the veil of darkness that is Darth Sidious. Rain falls on a dark night of Coruscant. We see Commander Fox look up from his terminal. Someone speaks, but we aren't sure who. Fox allows this person to go through, down into the prison, further into maximum security. We witness Grievous's room. His body is detached. Insultingly, only his torso and head, the only pieces with his organs intact, remain, as he is suspended from the ceiling. Ironically, almost torturously, his room overlooks the Jedi Temple, always in the distance and in his front view. He stares at it through the stormy night, with malice indeed, but with pure intent and focus. Even in this impossible state, he waits for a moment to escape. When the moment arises, he will take it and go to the Jedi Temple and die a warrior's death, befitting of a son of Kali. The Separatist cause does not matter. It never did. Only the death of a Jedi by his hands has brought him purpose in these past years. He will run no more. He will fight and he will die, given the chance. His back is then illuminated as the door to his chamber opens. Someone walks in behind Grievous, and they come around to face him. Their shadow overtakes the silhouette of the temple from the viewport. They are cloaked. They ignite a lightsaber, and it illuminates the room in a vibrant green light. So too is this shadowed person's face brought into Grievous's view, and his eyes widen in recognition. So that would be that then. For the order, the figure's voice says, and they cut Grievous clean in half, right down the middle. For the order, this voice repeats as the camera footage is played, obscured for the Senate. The voice is garbled by a modulator, the assailant unknown, but the Senate is convinced. The Jedi have plotted and succeeded in their revenge, continuing the war as the warmongers the people believe they are to be. Though the Council attests to not having knowledge of this, the public is unconvinced. They call for action. Appearing as if he has no other option, Palpatine begrudgingly issues an order to the Galactic Republic's clone army, not to kill the Jedi via Order 66, but to detain them until further notice. The faith in the Jedi is further lessened as some resist this order, but ultimately, the order is imprisoned, the light being suffocated by the iron heel of darkness. That's all I have written. But...
Dude...
What do you think?
You got before we say anything, pull up the comments right now because people are eating this up right now.
Really?
Dude.
They like this?
Specifically, Connor has made his way into the chat.
Metroplex says Cole finna get this stream copyright claimed while you're reading it.
Let's go, baby.
Cole in his bag right now. Connor says, I'm so glad I chose now to get gas and tune in. And then he says Cole has 24 missed calls from Lucasfilm during the time it took for him to read this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Seth, you had your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, I totally thought that it was going to be Barriss cutting him down, and she was going to let him. That she was going to let him into the temple, and that was going to be her instead of bombing the temple, like letting him into it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you want to know who it was?
Is it Sidious?
It's Palpatine, right?
It's Palpatine.
Yeah, playing both sides.
Wearing a voice modulator, making it as if the Jedi are doing this whole thing. And he's like, well, I won't execute them, but they have to be detained. I can't trust them, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, go ahead.
I only got so far as to like kind of setting the stage because obviously like there's a lot that's going to happen after this, but I was like, I gotta stop. Or this is a
part one. I want a continuation. Absolutely. Because that was sick. My only critique with the whole thing is Rex going with Anakin. That we can rework it. But the reason Rex goes to Mandalore is because he gets promoted to commander and Ahsoka is an advisor as a civilian. Therefore, Rex has to go to Mandalore. So
Ahsoka can go and get that.
Yeah. So who is made commander instead so that Ahsoka can go?
I had assumed Jesse, since Jesse took command after Rex.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, so what if they decided like, you know, Rex he's needed to rescue the Chancellor. Like we can't risk him, but Jesse's one of my best guys. Like he'll go with you. Vaughn is a captain. He'll go with you, you know? Okay. My personal critique is that the reason why, like I had a problem with like I was rewriting, I was like, oh, dang it. Because all of the prompt is because of like, what if this happened? But like, once that thing with Rex happened, he's no longer in the story, and so it feels misleading.
Pull up Connor's.
This is literally Connor's text. I also love how expertly you made a story about Grievous with the red herring setup about what if Rex goes with Anakin.
It's literally just my brain that's like, I'm just gonna gas Grievous up for, you know, it's another chance. But like I still tried to make it in character with him, you know, and like not to make him like I was just like, this is probably what he would do in this situation. Just go like, you know, you can't kill me. I demand a warrior's death. You know, all that stuff.
I love the visual of his just torso and head watching out a viewport, just being tantalized. I was like, that is so cool. Go ahead, Seth.
I was just waiting because you were kind of impersonating people, like for you to just do a Grievous, like
I didn't want to embarrass myself too much.
I'm happy you didn't.
I hadn't practiced them.
Yeah,
but I knew that when I was voicing like that random senator, I had to just emanate my inner Phantom Menace and just like or like Clone Wars and just someone go and like send the whole Senate into disarray and all that jazz.
Most of my questions are what if you were to ever revisit this for a part 2 of like, now that the Jedi are being detained across the galaxy, like, is that like a separate, or is Order 66, can you change programming, or is it separate programming that was there all along, where it was like Order 68 is actually detain the Jedi? You know what I mean? That was my question.
Yeah, my idea was that in that Order 66 still exists. This is just a separate one.
Yeah.
Because like what I assumed is that Palpatine, like in case something didn't work out, you know how Palpatine is. It's like I gotta have like another ace in the hole, right? So like just kind of a change in the order where it's like, well, they're not to be executed; they're just meant to be detained,
right?
And it's still like it's relatively the same programming. But it's instead just stun, don't kill kind of thing.
Yeah,
and he's keeping Order 66 pocketed, like he's in like my idea is like he's waiting to get to the point where they can be executed. But at this point in time, it's more like, hey guys, I need to detain them. You know, we need to quell this. Like it'll all be safe, because I was like, at this point in time, especially in this tumultuous point, Mace Windu is not going to take a bunch of guys to go arrest the Chancellor, because that's just going to make them look even more guilty. So they're not going to do anything, and so therefore there's not going to be enough of a cause to like, okay, we're murdering the Jedi now. You know?
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see like the mystery style espionage Jedi search party of them trying to figure out who was the Jedi that framed them.
Like maybe a handful of Jedi, like maybe escaped Order 60, whatever you want to call it, right? And then it's like, okay, we have to figure out who framed it and find a way, kind of similar to Ahsoka when she gets framed, of like, instead of having to prove her, I mean, they are proving themselves of like, we didn't do this, right? And then them possibly like, you know, confronting the Emperor or something. I don't know. I would love if you did a part 2. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's so many Jedi that I have questions about of like, I mean, Anakin didn't go through any of the stuff that he went through in Revenge of the Sith. So, like, Rex being with Anakin and having to turn around and, like, I'm sorry, sir, you're being detained. Like, that of Anakin, and Anakin obviously isn't going to take part in that, but...
Right.
So, like, wherever they are, and our Anakin and Obi-Wan's, they're separated at this point, so, like, Cody having... Like, thinking of all of the Jedi during Order 66 now... instead of them being killed, of all of the clones, like...
And isn't the Battle of Siege of Mandalore still happening?
Yes, so in order to... So Obi-Wan's obviously not on Utapau, because he wasn't sent there to take care of Grievous. And so since he had the time to relay the information about what Maul's talking about Sidious from Ahsoka to the Council is like, in this state, we need to go like get him right now. We have to take care of this. Like it turned into a first priority. So now Anakin and the 501st and Cody and Obi-Wan, like the 200, like they're all going to Mandalore. So I'm thinking, what if this happens like in the middle of a big fight? You know?
Yeah.
But
and
anyway,
they all just turn around. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really cool. Go ahead, Seth.
What I would be interested in too is that I feel like that some of the Jedi, it doesn't matter. They don't want to get detained. Like
Exactly.
I can see Yoda being like, all right, I got to stand down. I got to do what's right. But like, you know, our boy Quinlan, I don't think that he'd want to get, I feel like that he probably wouldn't want to get detained.
I doubt Mace would want to get detained either.
Exactly.
Like,
so I feel like some Jedi would die still.
Yeah, there would, because what did I say? I said, the faith in the Jedi is further lessened as some resist this order. So like, you know, probably go to the temple, and I can't imagine it's a peaceful transition, right?
Yeah,
and I don't.
We need your lightsaber, sir.
Yeah, I don't even imagine Anakin would be all right with that at all. Like, despite being the Chancellor's confidence, like they wouldn't do this. We wouldn't do this kind of thing. So it's a lot going up in the air.
The
there's a lot of moving
technicalities
pieces
too of like how the Jedi can be, because at least from my standpoint, I wouldn't justify. I mean, you obviously with your part 2, you can expertly do whatever you're going to do, but like thinking of having all of the Jedi imprisoned at the same place kind of seems like a bad thing too. So would they be separate and contained on wherever they were taken?
Yeah, I mean, imagine if they were put in like Narkina 5 Andor style prisons of like different planets, like you know, over time, right?
Or what if they're all put in the Fortress Inquisitorius?
Yeah, like which ones get made? And also, I'm just saying it sets up. Well, no, and never mind. It doesn't. That's stupid. He literally got killed, so never mind. I was gonna say, I was like, I'm so stupid. I said it could set up Grievous being an Inquisitor, but it doesn't because he's dead unless he gets brought back to life. But
no, man, he literally got cut straight down the middle. I was like, I'm not doing a full fan fiction. Like he's gonna be Palpatine's pawn to the end, right? So it's kind of like that final reason for him to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I will say too, like I love Connor's comment about the red herring setup, but like I feel like with all of these questions, you start off asking yourself a question, and then the way you justify it is like, that's just you answering the question. So it's hilarious because in mine too, it kind of separates itself from the question where like all of us ask a question and then it kind of drifts off away, but that's just because we all love this world so much and we all know so much about this world that like we immediately think of like, oh, how does this affect, like Seth, how does this affect Quinlan Voss? Well, he's not going to want to get detained. Like just us asking and answering our own questions.
Immediately really I'm like, well, what happens to Caleb? What happens to Cal? You know, what happens to all these people, right?
There's so many things happening in Star Wars that we know about, so it's not like a larger story that we're changing, and so we're all like, man, we gotta I mean, this would happen and this would happen, you know,
what happens to Grogu? Go ahead, Seth.
Just an answer to Connor's comment about Cole using Grievous, like I just think that he used Grievous as a storytelling vehicle. That's all.
100%.
Yeah, so I don't I'm not going to dock points for that.
Also, kind of the whole thing with the Sith apprentices that Palpatine has, it's like they're all kind of red herrings for him. Yeah. So it's actually cool to see that term used of like they kill Maul, it's not him. They kill Dooku, it's not him. They kill Grievous, it's not him. And then it's finally Palpatine. It's like in Star Wars as a whole, they're all kind of just red herrings for Palpatine at the end.
Yeah, true.
It's cool.
Man, that could be like a really almost less forced way to usher in the Inquisitorius, right? Because like a lot of the Jedi will be running, and so there will be like Palpatine will go, okay, so if there's any Jedi, prove their allegiance to me, and to the Republic. And go search out your brethren and bring them back.
Yeah.
I also, and this is so weird, this is probably too out there, but like, say Anakin somehow gets injured. All right, well, he like gets injured so bad that they have to put him in the suit, and then like in that, Palpatine can be explained to him that he's now all the pieces of what came before him. It's like you're now a fallen, like you're now my assassin like Darth Maul. You are a fallen Jedi like Darth Tyrannus, and now you are more machine than man like General Grievous. That like you are my ultimate Inquisitor. Well,
see, now I'm
kind of like Starkiller.
Now I'm imagining like, so as I said, like, you know, bringing in this kind of less extreme dark side Inquisitorius. What if Anakin is willingly like he's like, I'm gonna go like bring our Jedi back and prove that we're not capable of this sort of thing, because like he's still respectful of the Republic, because that's where his allegiances are, is with the Chancellor, you know. But obviously his faith in the Jedi is shaken, so he's like, well, he like becomes like the top Inquisitor, but he's not like Darksider. He's hunting down like these Jedi that resist to bring them back. You know,
the Jedi actually become what Palpatine says they do at the because of Order 66. Like they end up becoming that even more of a police state of like having to rein in their own kind. That's so
it's like
cool.
What is the X-Men story that happens in, where like all of the mutants are either getting locked up or wiped out?
That's Days of Future Past.
Days of Futures Past.
Is that
where they have to go back in time?
I thought that was the name of the. Isn't it a different storyline in the comics, or is it also just the name of the movie the same thing as the comics? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's an adaptation of that.
Oh,
Instead of Logan going back in time, it's
Kitty Pryde.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha. I forgot about that. So out of my X-Men thing, I'm watching 97. I promise.
Imagine
So
like
good.
Anakin like willingly being detained, and then he goes back, and then instead of going to wherever this prison is, Palpatine brings him to his chamber, and he's like,
Right.
out of all of them, I trust you. Can I trust you to go search them out and bring them back so that we can either bring them to justice or prove that they're innocent? You know?
Yeah.
Anakin, I'm so
Jedi
glad
Council,
you're
son.
here.
Yeah, exactly. Full manipulation. And then it's like Anakin versus Obi-Wan, but not in a kind of like, I hate you sort of sense. It's like, why aren't you listening to me? Just come back and we'll sort this out kind of thing.
Yeah.
The roles are almost flipped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That also, because I think for me, more important than what happens with the Jedi is what's going on with Anakin. Is obviously Anakin has been continuously throughout this. He is having these visions, having these dreams. You know, he's worried about Padme, and I think that would even be possibly the answer to, you know, of course, Palpatine gaslighting Anakin into being like, oh, like you're the one that I trust the most. You know, like I know this wasn't, you know, you're not like this or whatever. Like maybe we can reason with the Jedi, and then Anakin being like, you know, of course I trust you, you know, but I'm really like, I gotta be honest, like my mind is not focused on that right now. I gotta figure like what's going on with my wife. Like I have to, and then maybe
and the war is
Palpatine-
still going on.
Mhm.
Palpatine still has the separatist forces be operable.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
yeah, and so like it's gonna have to I'm trying to think of like, I wonder different ways that he could turn the tide in the war to like just change public opinion. And like maybe with all the Jedi gone, suddenly the war is going along so swimmingly, and like the separatists are being destroyed left and right, and Anakin is like leading the charge, you know?
Yeah.
And they love him so much, right?
Yeah.
Man, there's just a lot of ideas here.
Like
was
Seth,
something-
what you just said of Anakin versus Obi-Wan, like the roles being reversed of like Anakin being like, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy, and obviously because Palpatine is in charge, like that's so there's so many lines that can be flipped, and even just that confrontation that I think that would be.
I could see like Obi-Wan all like, you know, got the hood on and everything, and just like, you know, be careful of your friendship with Palpatine. That like, you know, you could use that, and it's just like he wants what's best for us, and it's
Or almost like Obi-Wan playing the Captain America role and Anakin playing
War.
the Iron Man role in Civil War of like, hey, we have like everybody has to sign this registration act, and Obi-Wan
we all have to
like,
be Inquisitors.
Yeah,
it's
we
the
all
only
have to
way
be
out.
Inquisitors.
If we become Inquisitors, then we don't die. Yeah.
And then you get Obi-Wan where he's like Nomad Cap in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but
so
they have
sick,
to,
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like that in Kenobi already. So
yeah,
you know?
Seriously.
Give me Captain Kenobi.
Yeah.
I guess General Kenobi.
10 out of 10, Cole. Good job.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
sick.
thank you so much.
I need more.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's up to you,
All right, man.
Diamondfigs.
What do you got?
I got
Seth with his thumbs up.
this.
You have a PowerPoint, bro?
I got a PowerPoint, bro.
What?
I'm a visual guy, so like I had to make.
Oh
this to
my gosh,
understand
bro.
what I was doing.
I'm so locked
Wow.
Okay.
That's
The
so
Seth-
Man, I wish I knew the assignment. Apparently, I didn't know.
This was what I was doing because I can't like write down a story without looking at pictures of what I'm doing. So
Will's a toddler. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, seriously, you're right. So my question is, what if Ahsoka fled to Alderaan in Tales of the Jedi? So in Tales of the Jedi, when Bail comes up to her and was like, gives her the thing of like, hey, we can give you refuge, come with me, and Ahsoka's like, actually, yeah, I'll go with you, and then leaves to Alderaan. So starts off, Ahsoka's in hiding. She goes to Alderaan, and through the Force, she finds a Jedi temple on Alderaan.
Ooh.
She lives in isolation, learning the Force through Yoda and Obi-Wan. Ahsoka still keeps in contact with Bail for around 8 years. So putting this story right around the time of Kenobi.
Mhm.
But a lot of this is why is Ahsoka in hiding for so long? Yoda and Obi-Wan explained to Ahsoka that because she is now on Alderaan, her job is to watch over Leia in the same way Obi-Wan is watching over Luke. So
It's
all of that's-
tattooing. He's on tattooing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Disregard. Abort. So yeah,
Uncle
just to
Owen is like,
justify-
quit tattooing my son.
Luke has 2 full sleeves and a back piece.
At the age of like 9.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
He's
Sorry.
seen some stuff.
just to justify them being there and Ahsoka going into hiding for that amount of time. Is there really a Jedi Temple on Alderaan? That's a question we were all asking. According to Roblox, yes. There's a Roblox campaign. This is the only way that I found out that there is a Jedi Temple on Alderaan. I just needed some way to justify this, and there's apparently a Jedi Order campaign in Roblox where there's a Jedi Temple on Alderaan.
is
Just disregarding
freaking
that,
hilarious.
we're just gonna move on. So
Your
young
what if there can
Leia, young Leia and the Jedi Secret. So Leia is now around 8 years old, around the time she is in the Kenobi series, and she knows that Bail has been in contact with somebody in the forest through holograms and messages, who she thinks is a Jedi. So Leia goes and sees Bail giving this message, and they're conversing with each other, and she sees the hologram of Ahsoka, this hooded figure, who then reveals herself to be Ahsoka. Leia doesn't know who Ahsoka is just yet. In the message, Ahsoka doesn't refer to Leia by name, but does ask if Bail has heard any updates on the child's brother on Tatooine. So now Leia knows that she has a brother at this age. This knowledge now inspires her to want to travel to other systems to find her brother. This is why she agrees to become trained as a diplomat. So having just the undertone of, yeah, I'm going to follow in my father's footsteps, Bail's footsteps, but also like because of this, I can go off world and find other planets and figure out more about where my brother is in hiding. As the years go on, Leia ventures into the forest, looking to find Ahsoka, knowing that she's there. She becomes more familiar with the forest, seemingly more in tune with the environment around her because of her abilities in the Force, and one day stumbles on the temple where Ahsoka has been hiding. From there, Leia finally meets Ahsoka. Leia, while trying to break into the Jedi Temple, Ahsoka surprises Leia. Be careful of your own curiosity. The fear of what you don't know can be a path to danger. Leia, immediately recognizing her as the Jedi, begins to ask Ahsoka questions, saying that she is looking for a Jedi. In my head, this was a lot like Luke trying to figure out who the Jedi was when he's talking to Yoda. Ooh, a Jedi you search for. Great warrior. Ahsoka turns Leia away in fear that she cannot become attached to the daughter of her former master, and more importantly, Leia cannot become attached to Ahsoka. Obviously, this is only a short amount of time after Order 66, so Ahsoka is reeling in her trauma now, especially in isolation, where she doesn't help with the rebellion. She is just watching over Leia and her separation from this child who obviously Ahsoka would want to have a relationship with. She refuses to and keeps herself separate in the same way Obi-Wan kind of watches over Luke. Over the next few months, Leia continues to visit the Jedi Temple, and each time Ahsoka turns her away. Leia, in my head, it was also very cool to think of like Leia watching Ahsoka training from afar and trying to mimic those moves of what Ahsoka is doing, just because this is what Leia is focused on more than anything else. Eventually, Ahsoka gives in and begins to train Leia in secret, doing her best to treat her training as more Force-centered rather than warrior-like as Ahsoka was during the Clone Wars, where that's Ahsoka's big draw with training Leia is you're going to learn the ways of the Force, not learn the ways of becoming a warrior, which is what Ahsoka feels is what her trauma is based in anyway, being a child soldier throughout the Clone Wars, and she doesn't want the same thing for Leia. So from here, Leia gets older. Leia is now the age she was in A New Hope. She's been going on diplomatic missions. However, while she is away, she is only thinking of training with her master and finding Luke, who nobody knows. Leia knows that she has a brother at this point. After returning from a diplomatic mission, Leia meets with Ahsoka and asks more questions about the fall of the Jedi Order, about the rebellion. In my head, this is in the Jedi Temple. It's like by fireside. There's a campfire, and it's very dark, and they're kind of conversing in the same lighting as Qui-Gon's funeral, where they're all kind of standing around that campfire, and they're discussing, and Leia's questioning Ahsoka now that she's been training for this amount of time. Ahsoka explains the fall of the Jedi Order and the Clone Wars. Leia then asks about her father, to which Ahsoka begins to tell her about Bail. However, Leia knows and wants to know of her true father. Ahsoka then explains who Anakin was in the same way Obi-Wan does to Luke, saying he was the best star pilot in the galaxy, a great master, and a good friend. Leia then asks about her brother, bringing this up finally, dropping that, saying that she has known all along about her brother being with Obi-Wan. This kind of in the same thing, in that same confrontation. Ahsoka explains that Leia and Luke were separated to keep them safe. Leia asks if she can see her brother. Ahsoka declines. They have an argument. Ahsoka says that Leia can help the rebellion politically with her words and her intelligence rather than swinging a lightsaber, which is what her goal is for Leia all along, to not become like her father and become that warrior, become a warrior of words, in a sense. Ahsoka then tells Leia the truth that Vader is her father after Leia gets upset, saying that Obi-Wan and Ahsoka can help the rebellion and defeat the man who killed her father. Ahsoka and Leia argue. Leia then decides to go through after leaving, so Ahsoka drops the bomb that Vader is in fact her father. She leaves feeling lied to, feeling like she's been had secrets kept from her this entire time. She then decides to go back to the main castle on Alderaan and go through Bail's messages with Ahsoka, finding that Ahsoka and Bail have made contact with Obi-Wan before through holograms. So she tracks that back to where Obi-Wan's location is and hatches a plan to go into orbit near Tatooine in order to find Obi-Wan and her brother Luke, which is what her goal has been all the while. Rogue One still happens basically the same way. From here, the rebellion gets the Death Star plans in the same way that it happens in Rogue One. Leia is sent these plans while in space over Tatooine, so kind of giving more reason to why Leia is in that orbit on Tantive. So when R2 and those the escape pods land on Tatooine, it just makes them a little bit closer in orbit. The Tantive is boarded by Vader, and Leia places the Death Star plans in R2, as well as a message to Obi-Wan. Vader tries to capture Leia, however, because she has been training with Ahsoka, she manages to flee. Leia doesn't have a lightsaber at this point, but she is more agile, like a Jedi, than she would be as just being trained in combat like a regular senator. This is instead of being captured, Leia goes back to Alderaan. Vader orders the escape pod with R2 and C-3PO to be tracked because Vader watches Leia leave, but understands that the escape pod that's leaving has R2 on it with the plans. So completely disregarding Leia, and there's that, obviously, in A New Hope of there's no life forms on board. Vader is smart enough to know. So Vader being in charge of knowing where that escape pod is going. R2 and the message from Leia get to Luke and Obi-Wan in the same way they do in A New Hope, so all of that kind of happens the same way. Obi-Wan explains, in parentheses lies, to Luke that Vader killed his father. However, after explaining that, that's when the message from Leia plays. Rather than saying, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, she explains that she knows Obi-Wan knew Ahsoka. She says, I know you defeated my father in the Clone Wars, and he became Darth Vader. So from there, immediately Luke feels like he's lied to by Obi-Wan rather than the whole certain point of view thing. Disregard the photo here. I just thought that was funny. Look, this is like his father before him, so Luke becomes angry, thinking that Obi-Wan lied to him about his father just moments before, that Obi-Wan was the reason he ended up on Tatooine and had to live the life of a moisture farmer. And at that moment, Vader lands at the homestead, lightsaber ignited, ready to confront Luke and Obi-Wan. Before Vader kills Obi-Wan, he sends a message to Ahsoka through the Force saying that they must find Yoda on Dagobah. So Ahsoka is sitting in the temple and sees Obi-Wan in the same way that Luke does on Hoth, of like that shimmery sort of phantom-esque, you must go to Dagobah, Ahsoka, you must find Yoda, and then kills Obi-Wan in that moment. So kind of in the same way, Obi-Wan still knows that he can become one with the Force, all of this same way, but Luke watches this now from the perspective of being angry with Obi-Wan and watching him die. Vader is here now. Luke now understands that this person is his father, and Vader, through Luke's rage, convinces Luke to join him, that he will never lie to him, and that if he leaves with him, Vader will save him and take him off world, giving Luke everything that he's wanted this entire time. So, back on Alderaan, Leia meets with Ahsoka to explain she sent Obi-Wan a message. Ahsoka is pissed. Like, you did all of this. Why? This is all stuff that you should not have done. However, Ahsoka, now getting that message from Obi-Wan, knows Leia has doomed them. She can sense in the Force that Vader has killed Obi-Wan and taken Luke, and now the Death Star is pointed at Alderaan. Before fleeing Alderaan, Ahsoka gives Leia the other of her two sabers that weren't buried in Order 66, and they leave before Alderaan is destroyed. Against her better judgment, Ahsoka knows that her and Leia are now the only hope for defeating Vader. They fly to Dagobah to meet with Yoda. Alderaan is destroyed. After the destruction of Alderaan, Vader stands looking out the window, and the masked Inquisitor-esque figure walks up next to him. You and I will do great things together. Your training, much like your destiny, begins today, my apprentice, my son. The mask comes off and reveals Luke's face. Luke is an Inquisitor. He's dark side, so it's now Luke and Vader versus Ahsoka and Leia, which is kind of where mine ends off. It's kind of like a part one. The only thing that I did not mention was Greedo and Rebo start an a law firm called Greedo and Rebo. So I don't know how this fits in, but somehow the events of what have changed make them attorneys. But yeah, that's mine.
Well, it's because Luke doesn't go to the cantina.
Right.
And then that really just like changes everything. And then Greedo and Han have a talk where he's like, "Hey man, like you don't have to do this." And he's like, "You're right. I've always wanted to get into law. Maybe I can represent you to Jabba." And then Han gets scotch-free, but of course, Luke is exactly. It makes complete sense in my mind.
Greedo and Rebo, attorneys at law.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's mine.
That's great, man.
I'm glad we got an OT one in there.
Yeah.
Because I think we had two kind of Revenge of the Sith prequel, and then we had mine that was kind of in the middle, and then jumping all the way to after, and then yours, which is like basically Kenobi: A New Hope, which is very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
My question.
Yeah.
What is Leia's reaction when they have to leave Alderaan? Because even though she knows that Vader is her biological father, she, I would imagine, still have a deep attachment to her family. Do Bail and Brea get away, or do they stay? And is it like a
it's the destruction of Alderaan in the same way it is in A New Hope. So the only survivors of Alderaan's destruction are Ahsoka and Leia. They leave on Ahsoka's T6. This is at least in my head what happens. They leave on Ahsoka's T6, and them now knowing the destruction of Alderaan can happen with the Death Star is the inciting incident to bring Ahsoka back to the rebellion, and then obviously double down on Leia's training of knowing that Luke has been alive, but that Vader now has Luke. They don't know that Luke is now a Sith Inquisitor red lightsaber holder with Vader. They just know that Vader has Luke in captivity. So the reveal in whatever part 2 would be them fighting this Inquisitor, and then instead of the "I am your father," it would be the "I am your brother" reveal to Leia from Luke in that same way. So
remind me, I'm blanking. How did Vader find out those were his kids in this short story?
through the hologram that Leia says to Obi-Wan, where she basically just spills all the beans of, Luke, you are my brother.
Right.
I know that my father is Darth Vader, and Vader being there has that information. Same way that he then has the Death Star plans. So
Vader going to Tatooine to essentially take Luke. That reminded me a lot of Star Wars Visions Season 2, that one episode. Was like Screecher's Reach? Is that what it was called? I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was like that. Have you guys have seen that, right?
Yeah.
Like the
yeah, I
season?
don't remember which the title.
It was.
It's the very first one,
it was
right?
that one episode. I think it was the second one. I don't know. It was
Second,
it was the one where like this kid essentially gets approached by seemingly a Sith Lord.
Oh, yep, I know
like-
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
You're like they're going to this like haunted cave, and she
Yeah, it's like a
kills
witch.
the
Yeah.
witch, and then it's like,
Yeah.
and it's this person like, come with me, but it's obviously this like evil Sith
They're
Lord
obviously
lady.
evil, but
Yeah.
but then the kid's just kind of like, this is good for me. I've always wanted to go. I don't have. I mean, what other?
Yeah,
choice
that was
could
my
I have?
exact thought process, Cole. Not with the visions thing, but the fact that it would make sense that I'm not really sure what would happen with Owen and Beru, but
Yeah.
Luke is obviously we know in A New Hope he wants to leave Tatooine, right? And one of the main catalysts for him doing that is he like holds himself back. He's like, no, like I can't leave, like I got to stay here, or whatever. And then it's when Owen and Beru are killed that he's like, I've got nothing left. I will go with you to Alderaan.
Yeah.
So my question is,
Trained like my father.
Right, exactly. So it's like I like the idea of
Same
him training
reason.
with Vader, but it's like what is the Beru Owen?
Well, so in my head, they're not killed until after Vader leaves with Luke, because it's more of a anger thing from Vader knowing who Owen is.
Yeah.
And then obviously, look, as much as it is funny of like, I hate sand, it's coarse, that's why he doesn't want to go back to Tatooine, but like
Right.
being there just enrages him even more. And after taking Luke,
Hang on one sec.
Beru and Owen are like, oh, don't leave, and they're prying the whole time. And then Luke is like disregarding that, because in the same way that Obi-Wan is kind of the catalyst for Luke having to stay on Tatooine that entire time.
Yeah.
He's mad at that, and he sees Owen and Beru as the same way of, you've been holding me back, I'm going to leave. And then after Vader leaves, that's when they're killed by stormtroopers. But
okay,
So
gotcha.
I had this really metal idea, I guess, that Vader essentially torches the Lars homestead before he gets to Obi-Wan, right? Because he is already self-assured that he's going to get Luke and take him with him. And so Luke is like, as they're about to leave, he's like, well, I have to tell Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. And Vader just kind of stares at him, and he relents, like he agrees. And they go there, and Luke sees that the place has been torched. And Vader, and he's like, well, who, Luke's just like, well, who could have done this? And Vader just kind of goes on this little thing about the lawlessness of the Outer Rim and all of that. But then he says, but then he'll say something like these tethers of yours are now unchained. Like, and I'm just imagining this shot of their two silhouettes standing in front of a big fire. You know,
I love that being a direct parallel to the moment when Obi-Wan is like, when he tells Obi-Wan, like, I've got nothing left here, I will go with you. He tells the Vader, he's like, I have nothing left here, I will go and train with you.
But the real zinger here for me in this like supposed hypothetical moment within the hypothetical is that as Vader's like, let us go, and like they start going to their ship, Vader notices that Luke keeps looking back, and like Shmi, Vader says, don't look back, you know? And so it's just like Phantom Menace, where like he just says like, do not look back, keep going, keep moving. But in like a darker subversion of that. But
it was, I guess, like, obviously mine doesn't take place over a long amount of time, but Seth, I'm so sorry. I started saying something and then I saw your hand and I was like, crap. Just because it doesn't take place over a lot of time, I was more like in the moment of how Vader can convince Luke to go with him.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Obi-Wan lying to him. Not a big Last Jedi fan, but giving reason to where like that's how Kylo Ren is like this guy who I've been looking up to my entire life pulls his lightsaber out on me in the same way of Luke saying like, oh, this guy's been lying to me my entire life. Obviously I should go follow him. And then instead of Kylo Ren having the whole, I'll be like my grandfather thing, Luke is like, literally my out is right here and it is my father. That was more just reason for Luke to turn Seth. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I just thought, with what Cole was saying, with them standing by the fire, and it's all like looking at the Lars homestead, where it's just like, who could have done this? And like Vader just turns and just goes, "It was the Sand People."
The Tuskens,
like,
you want to go take them out?
Exactly, it was the Tusken Raiders, and then just
That actually, okay, I don't hate the idea of the very first trial of Vader testing Luke is him saying like, the lawlessness of like the Outer Rim or whatever, like you said, Cole, and it is they find out it is the Tusken Raiders, or well, it's not the Tusken Raiders,
says
it's obviously
the Tusken Raiders,
right?
Yeah.
And then he takes Luke and he's like, just like an Attack of the Clones, he's like, enact your vengeance,
Yeah.
He's like, they took this from you, like now you take this from them.
Yeah, it kind of fits into like that Vader manipulation. So like Luke is just like, who could have done this? And Vader just says, it's the lawlessness of not only this planet, but the Outer Rim. The Tuskens did the same thing to your grandmother, If you had stuck around, they would have done this to you too.
That's I was just about to say the whole thing about the grandmother thing. That's awesome.
And he just kind of gestures to the fire and says, "Look what Obi-Wan's protection got you," kind of thing.
That would be such a good moment of Vader using that to gaslight Luke, because they do share that moment of like, obviously we know the Tusken Raiders didn't kill his family, but him to be like, the same thing happened to me, son. Your grandmother, my mother was killed by the Sand People, and go ahead, Seth. Go ahead.
So, just piggybacking off that, it would be cool even too, where it's like, the lawlessness of the land and the Outer Rim, but if you join me, then we can bring order to everything.
Yep.
So help me do this. And
we can see the galaxy and we can bring order to it. Like
exactly, we can make things the way we want them to be.
Even too, like somehow, I was thinking too of like somehow pinning it on Leia asking them to join the rebellion at some point in the message of Luke when he's learning everything, and somehow Vader pins it on Leia and Ahsoka to make Luke hate them more, rather than, because the whole thing of like Leia's trying to find her brother, right? Mm-hmm. It would be interesting for me if Luke wanted the same thing, but it would also be interesting if it was the opposite, where Luke is trying to find Leia because it's Vader convinces him that it's her fault.
He's
that
like,
all of this has happened.
He's like, the rebellion learned that you were my son. In order to get to me, they did this, like, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Lots of options there.
Yeah, and just make it even more of a Luke versus Leia situation in whatever part 2 or whenever that confrontation happens. But Luke is more understanding of, you should join us, my sister. You can be just like me and our father before us. In sort of a situation. And then that whole I am your brother reveal happens. But and then later on, somehow Ahsoka is killed by Vader in some way, and maybe that inciting incident is where Luke starts to question Vader because of Ahsoka knowing so much about Vader, and Ahsoka having the relationship with Luke of, I don't want to hurt you sort of deal, where kind of in the way she does in the Ahsoka series with Shin, where Luke is like this sort of like angry, scared puppy. And Ahsoka is trying to reason with Luke, or even in the same way of Han and Kylo Ren of just come with me, blah, blah, blah. And then Luke kills Ahsoka or something like that. I was trying to play that later on.
Luke killing Ahsoka would be pretty cool. Like
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, man. Seth?
When's Palpatine going to come in? Or is he even going to really come in?
So my idea was that Vader uses Luke as like the Star Killer sort of deal.
Yeah.
Where
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the secret sort of apprentice thing, and only Vader is the one who knows about that. And obviously, Ahsoka and Leia don't have too many connections across the galaxy. Like, they don't team up, at least in this scenario. Maybe farther down the line, there's a reason that they do, but like, there's no like team of Han and Chewie and C-3PO and R2. It really is just Master and a Padawan of Ahsoka and Leia. So like, even though Leia and Ahsoka know that this guy is eventually going to be, that he's Luke after the reveal, beforehand they can't even tell anybody of like, oh, we're going to go save Luke, but they don't know Luke is the Inquisitor guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that secret, and they can't really talk to anybody about it. Like, other than going to Dagobah and speaking to Yoda, they really don't have anybody in their back pocket. Like, there's no, maybe farther down the line, there's like a connection with Leia and Lando both being in the Rebels show. So obviously it hasn't happened yet, but there being a reason why they go to Cloud City, because Leia has a connection with Lando or something like that,
yeah.
and to give them reason to build more of a team. But I do like how isolated Ahsoka and Leia are across the galaxy. And
Yeah.
It's keeping the Force balance too.
exactly,
with
the
2
two
and
and
2.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the whole twins of it all. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, later on, I don't know if Luke would turn to the light. Maybe he's the one who, maybe he kills Vader as well as Ahsoka, and then Palpatine being like, you are now my apprentice. He's the one who has to kill Palpatine in the same way Vader does, and that's his sacrifice.
Very Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
With killing both Ahsoka and Darth Vader. You know, let the past die. It's got to be us together.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So,
I don't know.
Where, and
Lot of
remind
fun.
me, remind me again, when does Obi-Wan dies at the homestead?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
insane incident where like Vader and Obi-Wan on the Death Star.
Yeah.
It's basically that exact same thing, but instead of Obi-Wan looking over to, well, maybe he can't even say this to Vader of strike me down and I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine. That message, in a way, is where he can speak to Ahsoka, saying you need to go to Dagobah, or maybe it happens after.
I mean,
just in that moment, Ahsoka having the realization, like Order 66, of like, or even Obi-Wan having the realization when Alderaan is blown up, of like putting their hand on their head of like, oh my gosh, Luke has been captured. Vader kills Obi-Wan.
I mean,
just
he
in
could
that
just
moment.
do what Luke does in Last Jedi. He could just project himself while he's fighting Vader. You could
Obi-Wan?
yeah, and he's just like, he's talking to Ahsoka as he's fighting Vader.
Yeah, I like that.
That
I
would
like
be
that.
that'd be kind of sick. Obi-Wan
Yeah.
getting a like Luke Last Jedi projection moment would
Exactly,
be
and then when he
It's
finally,
reversed.
yeah,
It's reversed so that Obi-Wan is there actually fighting, but the
Yeah.
Force projection is the information rather than
yeah,
vice
exactly. That's what
versa.
I'm saying. Is like, as he's fighting, like in his head, he's talking to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka can see him, like, and it could be, a lot of like, what are you doing right now? And it's just like,
Who-
saving the galaxy. Yeah, as he's
Does Vader at this time know about Ahsoka, or does he not?
So I was, well, in the hologram, I didn't know. I don't remember if I put it in here. It was one of my rewrites of like whether or not Leia says that Obi-Wan knew Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, I'm with Ahsoka now, like more pleading rather than it being like diplomatic, of, because Leia's message to Obi-Wan is more like, you fought with my father in the clone. It's slow, it's more diplomatic, but more in this message pleading of like, Obi-Wan, I know you know where my brother is. I know I'm with Ahsoka now. I know that you defeated my father and he became Vader. We need to do this together. We can take them down. Like, more pleading, where it falls more into the Luke in episode 5, where like, I have to save my friends sort of emotion. So I maybe that too, but I do like the idea of Vader thinking that he's only going after Leia and then realizing that Ahsoka is with her. I
Yeah.
like that too.
So, because I imagine like while they're fighting and Obi-Wan is giving this message, maybe Vader kind of senses throughout his anger, but like he senses in the Force during the fight that Obi-Wan is not completely here. He's talking to someone. And like at the end of it, like, I don't know, he like grabs Obi-Wan by the neck or something like, who did you contact? You know, who are you speaking to? What more is there?
What tricks do you have, old man?
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
Obi-Wan kind of pulls another Obi-Wan and he just kind of like smiles or something like that. And Vader cuts him down and he disappears.
Or
He says,
maybe
"Goodbye, Darth."
not knowing
Yeah.
that Ahsoka,
So long, Duff.
like maybe you don't do the reveal of Ahsoka, but you do like in Last Jedi where Kylo Ren and Rey are like together and they're talking to each other, and then Luke sees Kylo Ren in the hut. Maybe it's that sort of deal where it's Ben and Ahsoka talking to each other, and Vader is the Luke insert where Vader sees Obi-Wan and Ahsoka talking to each other, where kind of like that dyad sort of deal where they can touch each other and be together at the same time. Vader breaks it and goes, Ahsoka is alive, and that even more enrages him to kill Obi-Wan in that moment. I like that a lot.
Have you has anybody read the Infinities?
Oh yeah, the first two, yeah. Just the third one is the one that I never really read
Okay,
up on.
because in Empire, what happens is like Yoda, like enters Vader's mind, and then like as he's attacking him, like kind of like Xavier would attack Magneto, basically. Vader's able to get out of it, and then he slashes Yoda. So that I could kind of see that where like he like as he's fighting, he can then like see Ahsoka talking to Obi-Wan, and then boom, as he shatters it, he also strikes down Obi-Wan. Yeah.
Or in the same way that Wanda kills Professor X in
Yeah,
Multiverse
exactly.
of Madness, of like snaps his neck in his head.
Yep.
in the
It would be
vision.
kind of like maybe another like just reference to the Last Jedi where Luke just says like I'm not the Last Jedi. That's maybe what Obi-Wan says to Vader after Vader gets this realization, and Obi-Wan's just like, you may be done with me here, but I'm not the Last Jedi, you know.
Yeah.
This isn't over, and Vader just so,
Or he goes, "See you around, kid."
see you around, kid.
That was
See you
what I
around-
said.
see you around,
Great
Dallas.
shot, kid. 1 in a million.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically, still in perspective, Obi-Wan is much older than Vader. Still,
Exactly.
Yeah.
How much
Meanwhile-
older?
What?
Meanwhile, all of this is while all of this is happening, Han is literally just in the cantina, just
Yep.
Yep.
they just chilling out.
Yep.
I do like the idea of maybe getting Han in there, but that's obviously up to your discretion, Will. Of like, what if they had to they don't have a way to get off, and so it's Ahsoka and Leia, or not
Well,
Ahsoka,
they just
but
need a freighter pilot, and they could meet.
Right.
Yeah, they meet Han Solo. He just happens to be not on Tatooine. He's on wherever they need to go.
What if he's on Alderaan? You know,
and
What if-
blows up?
What I
no,
think,
like he gets them off planet, right? All the ships are filled up, like
Yeah.
He's on
and-
Alderaan. He's like, oh, so glad I finally met, and just blows up.
Yeah.
what
Can't believe I was
did
able to
like
pay off Jabba.
in
Yeah.
like later versions of this. What I did think about, just because I've had this idea for a long time. I was thinking, what if it was a situation where Luke somehow has to hire Han and Chewbacca in a reverse way of like, I need you to go find Leia.
evil Han and evil Chewbacca.
Where Han and Chewie don't like they're not necessarily evil, but they're like, look, man, credits are credits, and they have to go find Leia. But then that's where Han and Chewie
Kind of like the
switch
bounty
up.
hunters in Empire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta
Well,
travel
like
to Cloud City and the Falcon. Yeah, exactly. So they're there. They take the spot of Boba Fett, basically.
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
a-
but there's a switch where Han and Chewie
But
join
yeah,
Leia. And
she's
Ahsoka.
beautiful. That
Yeah, 'cause
turns him
as soon
Yeah.
as Han sees the princess, he's just like,
smitten.
so
Yeah.
Yeah,
just like in A New Hope. So it just kind
Yep.
of changes him. So
yeah.
Yeah,
um,
man.
Guys,
good stuff.
I thought we did well.
I think we did
not
too.
not to pat ourselves on the back too much. I thought that we did well.
I loved everybody's different, except mine, versions of telling the story.
What do you mean? Yours was great, man.
Yeah.
No, I like because you told it in like such a beautiful like audiobook way, and then Will was like, "Here's my corporate presentation," and then, but no, it was
slide
good.
2.
Like, yeah, say it again.
On to slide 2, like press.
Yeah, he's just like, and now we move on to and then Seth did what I did, but just way more gracefully. But yeah, no, I'm not that. I think we all did a really good job. I love the diversity and in the stories.
We gotta
some
do
more
another one sometime. To be honest,
I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess segues into when you will see us next. I teased at the beginning. You guys already know we are reading The Living Force. Connor and Cole will not be making it, but myself, Seth, Cole is the see your own kid part. Myself, Seth, Will, and Tony are all reading the book. We have not nailed down an exact date yet, just because things have been kind of moving around. We will announce a date very soon, but we know it's been a little bit since Dark Disciple happened, and people probably forgot we were reading it. You know, we didn't really. We're trying to get better about letting people in the know of what we're doing. So, hopefully, next 2 weeks we can do that. We're going to do the first half of the book. So if you haven't read it and you want to join along, go ahead and get started. We'll be reading roughly the first 31 chapters of the book. It's about 60 chapters, so it's roughly about 200 pages. Just keep an eye out from us, and internally we will be just trying to plan out a better way to be a little bit more formulaic and hopefully be a little bit more on a consistent schedule. But when we had Bad Batch and Tales from the Empire and, you know, all of our respective things, because Will and Tony have Dark Side Secrets and their stuff, and then, you know, we have our stuff, and then, of course, Connor and Seth have been very busy over there. Seth, you were on the Star Wars Time Show this past week, so if people want to go watch that.
And then tomorrow I'm going to be on Space Bear Unlimited, which you guys it's a Star Wars Unlimited show. So
really?
Yeah, I'm everywhere this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude. That's sick. Yeah. I'd love to see that. Yeah. So just make sure everybody here, Mortis FM, Beyond the Dune Sea, Diamondfigs, and yes, Tony is not here, but Star Wars Sith as well. Make sure to go follow, subscribe to everybody. I'm sure you probably all are, but if you're not, by the little chance that you're not, you should. So yeah, that is all I have in terms of announcements, housekeeping, conclusionary things. Is conclusionary even a word? It is now.
It is now.
All words are made up, really. So yeah, let us know if and you know, whether on whatever we're on, our personal lives, in the comments right now, if you want to see more what ifs. I think we all really kind of want to do it at some point in the future. I had a great time, and it encourages me from what you guys did to one up, you know, what is like the thing where the
showmanship.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to one up the showmanship. Yeah.
Right. Or it's like, well, Cole did like Cole and Seth and everybody did it. I'm like, all right, next time we're gonna
cook.
Yeah, dude. There you go.
I guess I got to bring a PowerPoint or something, maybe a short film or something. My goodness, I didn't understand the assignment. Yeah,
dude, the Roblox Alderaan thing. I just have to say that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Mind you, I can't see my screen because it's kind of far away. I'm just like, what is that? Fortnite? What's he got up there? I can't. Then you're like Roblox, and I'm like,
worse.
Huh.
That's so
actually, I saw the nubs, so I was like, is that Lego? Or Lego Star Wars? I don't understand what's going on. And then I hear Roblox. Okay, cool.
The poor man's Fortnite. Yeah,
it is canon. So. Yeah.
There's so many Jedi temples and legends. Surely there could be one in Alderaan, dude.
Yes.
But yeah, that is all I have. And you guys have anything else?
All good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Tune in, everybody.
All good.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We hope you enjoyed, whether in the past, if you were on the live, present right now, or in the future. And remember, if it's not in our, I forget the line. What is it? If it's not in our records, it does not exist.
If it's not in our records, it does not exist.
May the Force be with you. Bye-bye. You can end the stream now.
I'm trying to end it. It's not working.
Well, we'll stick around.
Smile and wave, kids. Just
It's
smile and
legit
wave.
not letting me click the button. Like, I'm not even kidding. If I could show you right now, it's not letting me click the button. I've never had this problem before.
What?
I can't click on anything.
What?
I can't, like, I can see this, everybody can hear me, and I can hear you guys, and I can hit end stream, but
Let me check.
I don't know what is going on.
Well, guys,
We're just stuck.
Do we?
y'all
Like,
excited
I
about
can-
Acolyte? I don't know.
Like I can't bring up chat
Just-
or like
Just pull a Hail Mary and refresh
I was about to say, yeah.
What happens to us then?
everything. Nothing.
like I'm legit hitting
just
force
refresh
quit.
the page. It's not gonna happen.
I'm just gonna force quit Google Chrome, but it's not allowing me to do that either.
Bro, it was too powerful. It broke Will's
Hey,
entire
everybody, welcome
setup.
back.
I
Tales from the
literally have
Archive.
never had this issue
Today
before.
we're going over our what ifs. So
We're just gonna try something. This is gonna be the worst ending in the history of a live stream, but I'm just gonna restart my computer.
What?
I don't know how else to get off.
refreshing the. Well, can you go into the task manager to shut down Chrome?
No, I just did that, and it's not allowing me to hit force quit for some reason.
Wow.
Like if I hit Option Command Escape and I go into force quit applications, it's not even letting me select. It's like I can open the page and I can't do anything.
That's so funny, dude.
The
So-
stream ended when we said it did.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm literally just gonna restart my computer.
Well, see you on the
later,
other side
guys.
of the force, fellas.
Bye. Maybe.
I'm
Oh,
Oh, he's gone.
oh. I wonder if it's going to keep going with us.
The timer's still going.
Do we all have to leave?
I don't know.
No, he's the host. So
It's
I
so
feel like
scary that he's like frozen in time.
he's dead.
Well,
I'm gonna-
guys, what did everybody, people in the chat, what do you guys think about the light whip? I know Seth hated it. I'm kidding. I'm just curious.
Someone
Is
in chat, just say if it's.
They haven't talked for a while.
Let me go to YouTube real quick. Let me see if it's still up. Beyond the Dune Sea is still live with 8 watchers. How about myself? Yep, we're still live on Mortis.
Oh, what's this?
No.
It's still going.
Yeah, we're still going. Okay, he's gone.
What? I guess we're gonna have to wait for him to come back. So
Why?
Yeah,
What happens
yeah.
if we... Oh, so we gotta wait for him to come back to be able to shut it down?
yeah, because I don't have permission. I think next time he's got to give me permission to like go through stuff. Because
Okay.
yeah,
Well, what do you
yeah.
guys want to talk about?
I want to talk about that light whip, dude. Let's get
What
a little
about
bit of a
it?
debate, dude. You hated it.
I don't hate it. It's just
No,
well, it says hold on. What's the... He's in the chat now.
Wait, if he left, then he can't come back, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
He can?
I can. He's
he
like
can
the
ask.
host.
Yeah.
Well, he has the link, so he can join.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I thought the light whip looked pretty cool for like the millisecond that we saw it.
But how does it work? Because like can it retract like a whip?
How does a lightsaber work? You know.
Hey guys,
Ah,
Oh,
he's back.
let's see if I can do this.
Thanks everyone for tuning in for the third time.
Thanks for. I hope the light whip's pretty cool at Acolyte. Bye.